the school beauty's personal bodyguard. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 876. The plan is good. Of course we have to. With Lin Yi taking the blame for us, what's there to be afraid of? Zhao Kaibing waved his hand and said, however, this time we need to inflict a hidden disease that's hard to detect. It's best to wait for a while before he notices anything wrong. That's true. I understand, young Master Bing, don't worry. The Medicine King nodded and said, I'll inflict a vision-related disease on him. His eyes will become increasingly blurry, until he can't see anything at all. Of course, this will take about a year. Okay, that's it. In a year, when the Zhen family has made enough money, they'll send it to us. Ho ha ho ha, Zhao Kaibing laughed excitedly. Just as the Medicine King had predicted, Zhen Dazhao and Zhen Yingjin returned. They couldn't find any problems at the hospital, so they had to return to Zhao Kaibing to be ripped off once again. Young Master Bing, I finally gathered the money. When can we start treatment? Zhen Dazhao said with a smile. He was now certain that his son's condition could only be cured by the Medicine King. Actually, we could have started right away. You're a regular customer, so you don't need to pay first, Zhao Kaibing said sarcastically. I was just thinking, let's get the money together first. Zhen Dazhao, wondering if Zhao Kaibing had guessed why he'd left, felt a little awkward. Shall we begin now? The Medicine King nodded. Okay, then, let's get started. Go with Li Chihu to handle the transfer, and I'll treat your son right away. Zhen Dazhao followed Li Chihu through the transfer, while the Medicine King, pretentiously, began to heal Zhen Yingjin. He held a silver needle in his left hand and pressed it against Zhen Yingjin's pulse with his right, sending strands of qi into his body, warming him up and making him feel warm all over. Instantly, the needles filled Zhen Yingjin's body, turning him into a hedgehog. However, Zhen Yingjin trusted the Medicine King's skills and showed no fear. In fact, only one of the Medicine King's needles was inserted in the right place. The other needles were just for show and were not inserted at the acupuncture points at all. And there was another needle that destroyed his vision function. But Zhen Yingjin didn't know this and thought he was doing some kind of magic skill. The Medicine King used his own true qi to heat up, so he was sweating profusely. To outsiders, it looked like he was too tired because of overexertion. Looking at the Medicine King who was sweating like rain, Zhen Dazhao sighed. It seems that these 30 million are not easy to earn. How much true qi must be consumed? It's so hot, I'm dying of heat. Zhen Yingjin was burned so badly by the Medicine King that his whole body turned red, as if he was cooked. Yingjin, you have to persevere, Zhen Dazhao hurriedly encouraged his son. The process of healing is naturally painful. I know, I am as brave as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Zhen Yingjin began to recite some words to encourage himself. Zhen Yingjin was tossed around for more than an hour, and Medicine King was not having an easy time either. He was also very hot, but for the sake of the 30 million, he had to pretend to be something. He had to make Zhen Dazhao feel that the 30 million was worth spending, so that he could go out and publicize him and how powerful Medicine King Zhao was. There's a reaction. After a while, Zhen Yingjin suddenly found that his lower body had a reaction. And he couldn't help but shouting with joy, Dad, I have a reaction. Oh? That's great. Zhen Dazhao walked over to take a look, and was immediately very excited. The Medicine King is really a miracle worker. Even the doctors in the hospital say that there is no disease that cannot be cured, but the Medicine King can cure it with just one hand. That's right. Don't you see who the Medicine King is? Zhao Kaibing said proudly, but in his heart he was secretly cursing Zhen Dazhao for being a fool. This was originally the work of the Medicine King. If he can't cure it, who can? The Medicine King finally began to finish his work, wiped the sweat from his forehead, and then said, okay, it's cured. But I'm exhausted, I need to regulate my breathing. Thank you for your hard work, Medicine King. Zhen Dazhao saw that the Medicine King was so tired, and he felt that the 30 million was worth it. Although he had cured Zhen Yingjin so many times before, none of them was so hard. It seems that his son's disease is really difficult to cure. The Medicine King waved his hand without saying anything, simply sitting there with his eyes closed, resting his mind. Zhen Yingjin jumped up excitedly. Dad, it really works, it really does. That's good, that's good. Zhen Dazhao breathed a sigh of relief. Thank you, young Master Bing and the Medicine King. Not bad, not bad. I also want to congratulate your son on regaining his masculinity, Zhao Kaibing chuckled and said, but you spent those 30 million in vain. What do you mean? Zhen Dazhao was stunned. He didn't expect Zhao Kaibing to say that. If Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu hadn't been meddling, if Lin Yi hadn't stood up for them, would Zhen Yingjin have so many problems? Would you have suffered such a huge loss? Zhao Kaibing began to encourage Zhen Dazhao to go against Lin Yi. Yes. This time, I will definitely not let him off easily. However, I still hope that Master Bing can help me investigate the information of Pengzhan Group. Zhen Dazhao felt that he was unfamiliar with the place and had to rely on local talents to get things done in Songshan City. Zhu Xiandi had obviously been a little distant from him these days. Zhen Dazhao had also heard about the grievances between Zhu Xiandi and Lin Yi. He secretly laughed at his cowardice and simply did not bother him. Instead, he cooperated with Li Chihua. Well, that's no problem, Zhao Kaibing nodded generously. After all, we are old friends. I can still help with this little bit, but how are you going to deal with Lin Yi? If it's convenient, tell me and I can give you some advice. Lin Yi and I are old enemies. Because Zhen Dazhao had also heard about the grievances between Zhao Kaibing and Lin Yi, he dared to speak out his plan to deal with Lin Yi without any concealment at this moment. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. He believed that Zhao Kaibing would not betray him. It's like this, I'm going to, Zhen Dazhao told Zhao Kaibing about his plan to deal with Lin Yi. Well, your plan is great, why didn't I think of it before? Zhao Kaibing applauded Zhen Dazhao's plan immediately. First, use a mid-stage 1-level master to kidnap Chu Mengyao and Chen Yusu, and then lure Lin Yi to a deserted place, and shoot him with random guns. If he doesn't die, he will be seriously injured. Then let the mid-stage 1-level master kill Lin Yi. Great, Zhao Kaibing always wanted to let a more powerful master deal with Lin Yi one-on-one. But he overlooked an important fact, that is, there is strength in numbers. Can a bunch of musketeers not kill Lin Yi? Chapter 877 The same prescription. Why, young Master Bing, do you also think this plan is feasible? Zhen Dazhao was overjoyed, having unexpectedly earned young Master Bing's approval. It's feasible, very feasible, Zhao Kaibing nodded, then looked at Li Chihua. Chihua, what do you think? It's indeed very feasible. Li Chihua also nodded in agreement. Whatever information you need, I'll provide it. Thank you so much, Brother Chihua. Zhen Dazhao hurriedly thanked him. Then I'll go back and contact that expert. Wait, the Medicine King spoke again. Medicine King, is there anything else? Zhen Dazhao was stunned, but since it was the Medicine King who spoke, he dared not neglect him. He quickly stopped and turned back to ask. Your hidden illness today reminds me. Although your son doesn't seem to be ill at the moment, there's no guarantee that Lin Yi might have done something else. You must be careful. If anything goes wrong after you return, don't be careless. The Medicine King began to give Zhen Dazhao a heads up. What? Maybe there's more. Zhen Dazhao was immediately enraged. This Lin Yi is so wicked. There's more, I'm just guessing, I can't be sure. After all, I just made this connection based on what happened today. The Medicine King sighed. Then, Medicine King, can you examine Yingjin again? Zhen Dazhao asked cautiously. An examination now won't reveal anything. How can I examine Yingjin when he's not sick? I can't examine every part of his body, can I? My ki would probably be depleted, and I'd die. The Medicine King waved his hand, rejecting Zhen Dazhao's proposal. Is that so? Hearing the Medicine King's words, Zhen Dazhao couldn't force it, but his heart felt like it was blocked. He was very upset, and his hatred for Lin Yi increased. But don't worry, there's no disease that the Medicine King, can't cure. If you have any questions, just come to me again, the Medicine King said soothingly. That's all I can do. Zhen Dazhao had no choice but to take his son's leave. After Zhen Dazhao and his son left, Zhao Kaibing sighed. What idiots. I really hope they accidentally kill Lin Yi. Let them do whatever they want. We can just focus on making our own money, Li Shihua said. Young Master Bing, now that we've earned 40 million, can we start developing the orphanage? Well, sure. Get ready, then take Medicine King with you. We'll warn the orphanage and tell them to move out immediately, or I'll kill them, Zhao Kaibing said arrogantly. Now that he had a surefire way to make money, Zhao Kaibing felt much more domineering. Young Master Bing, but I'm not good at fighting, am I? Medicine King, who had previously looked listless, instantly became energetic. It's okay, You just need to show the strength of a Zhuan-level master. I believe that the old dean, a Wang-level master, would not dare to directly fight with you. A Zhuan-level master, Zhao Kaibing said indifferently. I asked you to go not to fight with her, but to scare her. Don't worry, as long as she is not stupid, she will not fight with you, okay? The king of medicine was relieved after hearing this, and then said, young Master Bing, I'm going to take a shower first. I almost died of heat just now. I was sweating all over. These 30 million are not easy to earn, huh? Zhao Kaibing laughed happily when he heard what the king of medicine said. King of medicine, don't worry, no matter what, you are the chief merit. I will remember it in my heart, thank you. Young Master Bing, the king of medicine bowed his hands and thanked him. Songshan City has a medicine king Zhao, whose miraculous healing skills are comparable to Hua Tuo. This news came from the mouths of the Zhen family father and son, and Li Chihu deliberately sent people to echo the hype. Soon, the reputation of medicine king Zhao resounded throughout the upper class of Songshan City, and even many outsiders knew about it. However, because of the high fees charged by medicine king Zhao, except for Zhen Yingjin, who was willing to ask medicine king to treat his illness that others could not cure, other people were really reluctant to spend so much money. So medicine king Zhao had a reputation, but no patients came to him yet. Kang Xiaoming got the medicine king of Guanshenyi's trauma medicine from Kang Xiaobo, and he was suddenly ecstatic. He didn't expect to get the prescription so easily. If he had known this, why would he chase Guanzin? However, Kang Xiaobo's power is limited. It is easy to get the formula of this trauma medicine, but it is probably not so easy to get the formula of the longevity and detoxification pill. After all, the core secrets that Kang Xiaobo can access are limited. It seems that we still have to start with the Guanzuman. Of course, these are things for the future. At least now he has something to report. Kang Xiaoming happily returned to the Kang family with a prescription of Guanshen doctor's trauma medicine. Kang Xiaoming was quite satisfied with his performance. After all, the formula of the longevity and detoxification pill could not be rushed, and it was a great achievement for Kang Xiaoming to get back the prescription of Guanshen doctor's trauma medicine. Sure enough, this prescription is exactly the same as our Kang family's prescription. Kang Xiaoming took the prescription sent back by Kang Xiaoming and was suddenly a little angry. It must be that little bastard Kang Xiaobo who presented this formula to Guanzuman in exchange for a position as vice president. The dog who coveted wealth and ruined my Kang family's business. Of course, Kang Xiaoming would not doubt the authenticity of this prescription. After all, the Kang family's prescriptions were in the hands of Kang Xiaoming himself. Even Kang Gifeng and Kang Kipu didn't know, let alone Kang Xiaoming. The only one who knows the formula is Kang Xiaolong, and it is impossible for Kang Xiaolong to leak the formula because he has already decided on him as the future head of the Kang family. How could he sell out his own interests? Therefore, this prescription must have come from Kang Xiaobo's hand. Yes, if he can sell the prescription to me for 300,000, it is natural that he will give the prescription to Guanzuman for a vice president. Kang Xiaoming nodded in agreement. Humph. In that case, don't blame me for being rude, Dr. Kang sneered and said. Yes, Grandpa, we must not let them have an easy time, Kang Xiaoming said. Xiaoming, you did a good job. I didn't expect it. Grandpa used to think that you were just a playboy, but you are also very good at doing things. After scolding Kang Xiaobo, Dr. Kang showed a relieved expression, looked at Kang Xiaoming and said, that's great. If we can get their formula before Dr. Guan's product goes on the market, we can give them a heavy blow at their new product launch. Chapter 878. They take a bath together? So that's how it is. I was thinking, after their product hits the market, we can just buy a few boxes and slowly test them. Why bother spending a fortune on a prescription? So the plan is to give them a blow the moment their product hits the market. Kang Xiaoming nodded in sudden realization. Kang Xiaolong hadn't been very clear on the phone before, and Kang Xiaoming hadn't quite figured out the purpose of this formula. Well, Xiaolong, go and prepare for this. We must bring discredit to Dr. Guan's pharmaceutical company. Dr. Kang said to Kang Xiaolong, come up with a plan and show it to me. Yes, Grandpa, Kang Xiaolong nodded and agreed. Conspiracy and subterfuge were his forte. He was determined to bring discredit to Dr. Guan's pharmaceutical company. This not only affected his impression of Dr. Kang, but also because this Kang family would belong to him, Kang Xiaolong, from now on. He had to nip Guanzuman, his competitor, in the bud. He couldn't let them steal his market share and position. Oh, Grandpa, Guanxin is already engaged. What should we do about this? The previous method won't work. How could she be friends with me when she's already engaged? Kang Xiaoming blamed all his failures on Guanxin's engagement. However, the people in the Kang family didn't know the details and didn't doubt Kang Xiaoming's ability to pick up girls. That's our oversight. We didn't expect Guanxin to be already engaged. Now, the recipe for the longevity and detoxification pills will be difficult to come by. Dr. Kang frowned after hearing what Kang Xiaoming said. He also knew that a lady like Guanxin wouldn't be able to get too close to another man after being engaged, so his previous plan to steal the recipe was obviously not going to work. But Dr. Kang was unwilling to give up like this. After all, this recipe could be the stepping stone for the Kang family to successfully upgrade to an aristocratic family, allowing the Kang family's strength to reach a higher level and rise to a higher position. Yes, it's my fault for not investigating the matter clearly before and I acted rashly. Fortunately, I didn't alert the enemy, otherwise, it would be even more difficult. Kang Xiaoming was not stupid either. For fear that his grandfather would blame him, he readily admitted his mistake. I have disappointed everyone, Grandpa. It's not Xiaoming's fault. Kang Xiaolong naturally had to show his magnanimity as a third-generation leader at this time. Although it was indeed Kang Xiaoming who did not investigate the matter clearly, who would have thought that Guanxin actually had an engagement? So Kang Xiaolong said, this kind of thing cannot be stopped by human power. Fortunately, Xiaoming is very powerful and got the prescription of Dr. Guan's trauma medicine. Xiaolong is right. Xiaoming, you don't have to belittle yourself, you have done a good job. As for the matter of the longevity and detoxification pill, we will think of other ways, Dr. Kang said. Don't worry, Grandpa. I'll go back to Songshan City if I have nothing else to do. I'll continue to find out the truth, but I'll have to rely on my family's support for the funds for the activities. Kang Xiaoming was very free and easy in Songshan City, and there was no supervision from his family, so he prepared to go back after delivering the prescription. That's no problem. I'll give you another 1 million as activity funds. If it's not enough, just tell me again. As long as we can get the prescription for the longevity and detoxification pills, any amount of money will be worth it, Dr. Kang said. By the way, you still need to work harder on that supply channel. If we get a hold of Guanzuman's raw material supply channel and directly block this road for him, I wonder what they will sell in the future. Having a prescription is useless. Okay, I get it, Kang Xiaoming nodded and replied. Lin Yi sat on the sofa, watching Pleasant Goat and Big Wolf with the eldest lady and Chen Yushu. He couldn't understand why the eldest lady and Chen Yushu, at their age, liked to watch things that children watch. But considering the two of them secluded themselves together every day, with little contact with the outside world, it's understandable that their preferences are somewhat childish. Evenings were boring, especially when Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu were watching TV. Lin Yi had nothing else to do, so he casually picked up his phone from the coffee table and started playing games. It was just that Lin Yi was embarrassed to leave. He had just volunteered to watch TV with him, so if he left halfway, wouldn't that be a bit disrespectful? The eldest lady seemed to be quite concerned about her reputation. I'm going to take a shower, Lin Yi watched with boredom. After finally waiting for the show to end, he tossed his phone on the coffee table, stood up, and prepared to go back to his room to take a shower. I'm going to take a shower too, Chu Mengyao stretched. What about you? Oh, I haven't finished my apple yet. I'll watch TV for a while. Sister Yao, you go take a shower first, Chen Yushu mumbled, changing channels with a remote control, half an apple stuffed in her mouth. Chu Mengyao turned and went upstairs. Seeing that everyone in the living room had left, the mighty general also wagged its tail and returned to its own territory, the bottom of the stairs. Not long after Lin Yi and Chu Mengyao left, Lin Yi's cell phone, which was placed on the coffee table, suddenly rang, startling Chen Yushu. She picked up the phone and saw the name Tang Yun written on it. After hesitating for a moment, she answered the call. Hello. Tang Yun was stunned. Why was it a girl's voice? She subconsciously thought she had dialed the wrong number, but when she saw that it was indeed Lin Yi's name displayed on the phone, she couldn't help but feel a little strange. Who are you? Isn't this Lin Yi's number? Oh, this is the automatic voice answering machine Shu. What can I do for you? You can leave me a message or I can pass it on to Brother Arrow, Chen Yushu said. Exclamation mark. @ Tang Yun recognized Chen Yushu's voice and was speechless. Xiaoshu? Where's Lin Yi? Oh, Brother Arrow and Sister Yao are taking a shower. What do you want to talk to him about? Chen Yushu said with a sly smile. Showering? Lin Yi and Chu Mengyao? Tang Yun was stunned after hearing Chen Yushu's words. Why were Lin Yi and Chu Mengyao both taking a shower? Oh, Chen Yushu said. Together, Tang Yun was a little skeptical. This girl was always talking nonsense, so who could tell if it was true or not? Tang Yun was now on high alert, and ordinary people really couldn't fool her. Oh, Chen Yushu replied. Then why don't you go together? Aren't you Lin Yi's concubine? Tang Yun asked back. Oh, that was just talk, just kidding. Brother Arrow needs to be with Sister Yao for a while before he can consider me, Chen Yushu said seriously. Anyway, I'm in no rush. Recommended new book by Xiao Sharp. This is a vast, magnificent, and mysterious world of fighting spirit, hiding countless powerful people. The path of martial arts is to fight against the heavens, the earth, and people. Never give in, never retreat. If the road ahead is blocked, then use your fists to carve out a new path and conquer the world. As long as you have a strong heart, no matter what is in front of you, you can smash it with one punch. The god of war changes, and the blood boils. Chapter 879, Can you see through things? Huh? Tang Yun frowned. If Chen Yushu had said she had just showered, or was about to shower, she definitely wouldn't have believed her. However, Chen Yushu's explanation made her feel slightly uneasy. Okay, I won't tell you anymore. I've said too much? If Sister Yao finds out, I'll be in trouble. For nothing, Chen Yushu hung up the phone without waiting for Tang Yun to finish, then burst into laughter. Before Tang Yun could even ask what was going on, Chen Yushu hung up, leaving her feeling a little uncomfortable. Did Lin Yi really shower with Chu Mengyao? Although Tang Yun had always felt that the relationship between Lin Yi, Chu Mengyao, and Chen Yushu was more than just an employment relationship, it might not be a big deal now, but if things continued like this, something would happen sooner or later. But Tang Yun didn't want to think about it. She even felt optimistic. If Lin Yi and Chu Mengyao really had something going on, as long as she didn't know, then that was fine. She didn't know what was going on. Was it low self-esteem or was she just too afraid of losing Lin Yi? Though Feng Xiao's words were a lie, they also sounded a wake-up call for Tang Yun. While love doesn't need a reason, and doesn't discriminate between rich and poor, there's always a gap between ideal and reality. In all fairness, Tang Yun herself felt that Chu Mengyao or Guanxin might be a better match for Lin Yi, while she had simply ended up with him by chance. She couldn't do anything to help Lin Yi, and no matter what he did, she was always a spectator, even implicated. Once this feeling took root, making Tang Yun increasingly anxious and worried. She didn't want to question Lin Yi, nor did she dare to. Although Chen Yushu's words were likely false, sometimes, knowing they were false still made one anxious and upset. Tang Yun picked up her phone, hesitated for a long time, and dialed a number from the address book. Beep, beep, beep. After the call was connected, it rang several times, but no one answered. Tang Yun silently pressed the end button, set the phone aside, and collapsed onto the bed, hugging her pillow to her chest, staring at the wall, lost in thought. A moment later, Tang Yun's phone suddenly rang, the sound of an incoming text message. Tang Yun was lost in thought when the message startled her. She picked up her phone and took a look. It was from Chu Mengyao. I was just taking a shower. What's up? Tang Yun's heart skipped a beat. Was Chu Mengyao really taking a shower? She felt her heart break at that moment, aching. However, Tang Yun quickly thought, if Chu Mengyao had really been taking a shower with Lin Yi, why would she have told her? Wouldn't it have been better to keep it a secret? However, Tang Yun couldn't see Chu Mengyao's expression, and wondered if this message was a show of force. The tone of the message was flat, devoid of any emotion, a typical Missy style. Tang Yun wanted to call to confirm, but she didn't dare. A tinge of hope and trepidation lingered in her heart, fearing that calling would bring her suspicions to fruition. But if she didn't, she wouldn't be able to rest easy. After a long moment of hesitation, Tang Yun sighed, turned off her phone, and set it aside. She buried her head in the quilt, tears streaming down her face. Chu Mengyao had texted Tang Yun, but after a while, she didn't get a reply. Feeling a bit strange, she called back. After all, the three of them were still on good terms. Hearing the sound of her phone shutting off, Chu Mengyao shook her head, thinking it might be dead or she'd called the wrong number. She put the phone aside and began to dry her hair with a towel. A silent night followed. The next morning, Lin Yi realized he'd left his phone in the living room. Glancing at the missing notifications, he dismissed the thought and went to make breakfast for the eldest lady and Chen Yushu. Uncle Fu once again came to pick up Miss and Chen Yushu from school. Lin Yi drove Chen Yushu's beetle to the hospital to pick up Tang Yun. Tang Yun stood at the hospital entrance, feeling uneasy. She wasn't sure if Lin Yi would come pick her up as usual, and she wasn't sure if she would be tempted to ask him about yesterday. So, Tang Yun didn't even eat breakfast that morning, spending the whole morning in a state of anxiety. However, the moment Tang Yun saw Lin Yi, all her unhappiness seemed to disappear. Seeing the smile on Lin Yi's face, Tang Yun smiled too. He still loved her, so why should she still not trust him? Why did she have to dwell on something that might happen, something that was inevitable? Tang Yun shook her head, grabbing her school bag and quickly running towards Lin Yi. Why are your eyes red? Didn't you sleep well last night? Lin Yi opened the car door for Tang Yun, looking at her with a puzzled look. Lin Yi was a part-time doctor and quite observant. I was swatting mosquitoes in the middle of the night, Tang Yun lied. She couldn't tell Lin Yi that she had been crying all night, could she? That's too embarrassing. Hell, although Lin Yi felt that Tang Yun was lying, since Tang Yun didn't want to talk about it, Lin Yi didn't ask any more questions. What to eat? Huh? Tang Yun was stunned by Lin Yi's question. What to eat? Breakfast. You don't want to eat? Lin Yi asked with a smile. I did. Tang Yun wanted to say that she had eaten, but seeing Lin Yi's half-smile, she lowered her eyes and asked curiously, how do you know I didn't have breakfast? Since Lin Yi said this, he must have his reasons, so Tang Yun didn't deny it. Normally, Lin Yi wouldn't ask her this question. After picking her up, he would go straight to school. I'm a doctor. I can see through your body, Lin Yi said. Huh? You can see through? Tang Yun looked at Lin Yi's eyes, her face suddenly flushed, and she asked subconsciously. That's not the case. Lin Yi shook his head. I'm just giving an example. You haven't eaten, and you can tell from your complexion. This is the looking and the looking, smelling, asking, and feeling method commonly used by Chinese medicine practitioners when treating patients. Oh, Tang Yun thought Lin Yi could see through things, but she was shocked. Although she would show him sooner or later, it would feel weird if she was really seen through by someone. Let's go eat something first. Lin Yi started the car and began to look for a breakfast shop on the street. Let's not eat? We'll be late for school, Tang Yun said worriedly. With Wang Zifeng backing us up, what are you afraid of? Lin Yi said with a smile. Chapter 880 No one answers. Tang Yun was a little speechless, but then a question came to her mind. By the way, Director Wang, why do you seem to be afraid of you? This has always been something Tang Yun couldn't understand. Before, Tang Yun thought that Lin Yi was the son of a wealthy family and Wang Zifeng didn't dare to offend him. However, with the revelation of Lin Yi's mysterious identity, he was just Chu Mengyao's personal master. How could Wang Zifeng be afraid of him? Even Zhong Pinliang, the nephew of the former school director, was not given much face by Wang Zifeng, right? He was caught by me picking up girls in school. Lin Yi did not hide it. Huh? Tang Yun's eyes widened. Picking up girls? Him? In school, it seems to be his lover? A teacher in the school. Lin Yi shrugged. I happened to see him, so he felt guilty. So that's how it is. Tang Yun didn't know what to say. It was because of this incident that Lin Yi dared to pick up girls in school without restraint. She didn't know whether she should thank Wang Zifeng. If Lin Yi hadn't caught him in the act, would Lin Yi not be so bold? Let's go get something to eat first. Lin Yi parked the car in front of a roadside breakfast shop and pulled Tang Yun out. Sister Yao, the school's out of red ink. Should we buy another bottle? Chen Yushu suddenly thought of something and said to Chu Mengyao. Oh? Let's buy a bottle then. Chu Mengyao nodded and said to Uncle Fu, there's a cultural and educational store later. Please stop the car. We need to buy a bottle of red ink. Okay, Miss Chu. Uncle Fu nodded. Senior year is full of exams, with major exams every 3 days and minor exams every 2 days. Most of the exams are graded by students, as the teacher no longer has much free time. After the exams are over, the papers are shuffled and distributed, and the teacher explains the answers to each question directly. Chu Mengyao's papers had been graded by Lin Yi before, but their relationship wasn't very close at that time. Therefore, red fountain pen ink is a must-have for senior year. When Chen Yushu said it was out, Chu Mengyao naturally wanted to buy another bottle. Uncle Fu parked his car in front of a roadside cultural and educational store, while Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu went to buy red ink for pens. They had just returned and finished it in the car. Uncle Fu was about to start the car when two black Land Rovers, one in front and one behind, clamped his Bentley, preventing him from moving. Uncle Fu was startled and subconsciously became alert. The two Land Rovers were obviously doing this on purpose, otherwise they wouldn't have parked like this. Miss Chu, be careful. Contact Mr. Lin quickly. Years of experience made Uncle Fu smell a hint of danger. Sure enough, the doors of the two Land Rovers opened in an instant. A tall and strong man in white clothes got out of the Land Rover in front, and two men in black clothes got out of the Land Rover behind. Each of them had his right hand on his belt. After getting out of the car, they stood on either side of the Bentley's rear door. Uncle Fu locked the car door and took a deep breath. The two black-clad men behind him were nothing to be afraid of, but the man in white in front of him made Uncle Fu feel an unprecedented pressure. However, the man in white didn't seem to take the locked car door seriously at all. He simply reached out and grabbed the car door. With a bang, the car door was pulled down by the man in white. You know, the doors of Bentley cars are not ordinarily strong, especially Chu Pengzhan's car, which is a custom-made bulletproof version. But he didn't expect that in the eyes of this man in white, it would be so easy to destroy it. Uncle Fu's expression was stern. As expected, the visitor had bad intentions, and the visitor must be a warrior, at least at the middle stage of the yellow rank. With the car door pulled down by the man in white, Uncle Fu naturally couldn't stay in the car. For this master enemy in front of him, doing so would undoubtedly be tantamount to waiting for death. This person posed a huge threat to him. Even if he wanted to protect Chu Mengyao, he couldn't. Uncle Fu had no choice but to bite the bullet and get out of the car, hoping that he could delay for a while, allowing Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu to call Lin Yi. However, because the front door had been opened by the man in white, the two men in black easily unlocked the door from the front and directly opened the back door. Then they pulled out two black pistols from their waists, one for each of them, and pointed them at Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu respectively. Hand over your phone. The man in black looked at Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu coldly and shouted. Oh, Chen Yashu obediently handed over her phone. A good woman would not suffer a loss in front of her. These two men looked ferocious. Chen Yashu knew that they were not joking, so she didn't say much. Chu Mengyao, who was about to call Lin Yi, couldn't make it at this moment. She handed the phone to the man in black with some helplessness. However, she dialed Lin Yi's number but did not hang up. The man in black took Chu Mengyao's call, glanced at it, and quickly hung up. He then turned off the phone, giving Chu Mengyao a cold look and saying, "Don't be so smart. Get out of this car and get in the car behind." Lin Yi was having breakfast with Tang Yun when he received Chu Mengyao's call. The eldest lady's phone rang twice, but before Lin Yi could answer, she hung up. This startled Lin Yi. He called back, but heard the sound of the phone being turned off. Could it be out of battery? Lin Yi didn't think much of it. After all, Uncle Fu took Chu Mengyao to school every day, so Lin Yi was relieved. "What's wrong?" Tang Yun asked, seeing that Lin Yi had called but didn't get through. "Nothing. The eldest lady just called, and she hung up after 2 rings. I called back, but it said it was turned off." Lin Yi shrugged. "Maybe it's out of battery." "Oh," Tang Yun pouted when she heard it was the eldest lady calling, but didn't say anything else, feeling a little disappointed. "What's wrong?" Lin Yi asked when he saw that Tang Yun seemed to be in a low mood. "Nothing." Tang Yun shook her head. "Miss, nothing will happen to you, right? Why don't you call Chen Yashu?" Lin Yi thought about it and it was true. If Chu Mengyao's phone couldn't be reached, then he could call Chen Yashu. So he dialed Chen Yashu's number, but the sound of Chen Yashu's phone being turned off was heard. Lin Yi frowned, feeling that something was wrong. It is possible that Chu Mengyao's phone suddenly ran out of power, but how is it possible that both Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu's phones are out of power? And there is no blind spot for mobile phone signals on the way from the villa area to the school. It is impossible that there is no signal. Thinking of this, Lin Yi suddenly became nervous and quickly dialed Uncle Fu's number, but after the call was connected, no one answered. Chapter 881, Unharmed. Uncle Fu's phone was on the console of the Bentley. He heard the phone ring, but couldn't answer it. The man in white in front of him put a lot of pressure on him, and he didn't dare to move. "Who are you?" "Why are you arresting Miss Chu and Xiaoshu?" Uncle Fu asked, looking at the man in white. Although he was staring at him, his peripheral vision was focused on the two men in black behind him, as well as Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu. "Just stand here and wait for us to leave. I won't hurt you." The man in white didn't answer Uncle Fu, but said proudly. Uncle Fu frowned. Since this man didn't want to say anything, there was no need to ask. The only thing Uncle Fu had to do now was to prevent these people from taking Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu away. So he had to deal with the man in white first. The two men in black behind him didn't seem threatening to Uncle Fu. They were just two ordinary people with slightly stronger bodies. It would be easy to deal with them. So, Uncle Fu made his move. He raised his right hand and struck the man in white with a palm strike, but it was a feint. He intended to force the man in white back with one strike, then turn around to save Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu. Uncle Fu couldn't yet determine the man in white's strength, so he didn't want to fight him head-on. Forcing him back would save him time. Seeing the two men in black behind him force Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu into the Land Rover behind them, Uncle Fu calculated his timing. After forcing the men in white back, he could quickly deal with them, seize their Land Rover, and then drive away. However, nothing is as good as planning. Uncle Fu thought he could force the men in white back with one strike, but he didn't expect the man in white to dodge or evade. Instead, a mocking sneer crossed his face. This smile made Uncle Fu's heart tighten. He realized something was wrong. Either the man in white was far more powerful than him, so powerful that he could ignore his strike, or he was a fool, completely unaware of the consequences. Of course, Uncle Fu didn't think the man in white was a fool. He didn't believe he wouldn't investigate his strength beforehand. Bang! Uncle Fu's palm strike landed firmly on the man in white. Uncle Fu practiced external martial arts, so how powerful was this palm strike? Even the recoil numbed Uncle Fu's palm, but the man in white looked at him calmly, as if nothing had happened. "Are you done? Wasn't it exciting?" The man in white looked at Uncle Fu with a hint of sarcasm. Bang! That was loud. Uncle Fu was in no mood to joke with the man in white. He was filled with horror. Even if the opponent was a Xuanyuan master, he wouldn't be unharmed with this palm strike. Even if he wasn't seriously injured, he would definitely be sent flying. But this man in white was completely unharmed, even chatting and laughing freely. Just how powerful was the opponent? Could he have surpassed the Xuan level? But that couldn't be possible, right? Earth rank masters are practically extinct in this secular world. Are you from the Yu family? This was the only possibility Uncle Fu could think of. The only people he had offended recently were from the Yu family. Uncle Fu didn't believe the person before him was sent by Zhao Kaibing. If the Zhao family was willing to send a master, they wouldn't have waited until now. If they wanted to send one, they would have sent it long ago, and they wouldn't have been destroyed twice by Lin Yi. The Yu family? Do you still have a grudge against the Yu family? The man in white smiled faintly. It seems you have quite a lot of enemies. But unfortunately, I'm not one of them. Then you are. Uncle Fu knew that he was definitely in danger of death today. Li Fu, right? An external master with the strength of the peak of the late yellow rank. The man in white looked at Uncle Fu and said lightly, "You are not my opponent yet, but it's rude not to reciprocate. I gave you a chance and told you to wait for us to leave. If you didn't listen, then you can die," the man in white said, and quickly raised his hand and slapped Uncle Fu's chest. Before Uncle Fu could dodge, he flew backwards. Fast, too fast. Uncle Fu felt his chest shattered by the man in white. The intense pain made him realize the strength of the attacker. Peak of the mid-stage 1 level. But there was one thing Uncle Fu couldn't understand. Even though the opponent was a peak stage 1 level expert, how could he remain unscathed after being struck by his palm? Uncle Fu's body fell heavily to the ground, spitting blood from his mouth. Uncle Fu knew he was probably not going to make it. A palm strike from a peak stage 1 level external martial arts master was not something a peak stage 1 level external martial arts master like him could withstand. If the opponent was determined to kill him, how could he possibly survive? How could you be unscathed? Uncle Fu clutched his chest, staring in horror at the unharmed man in white. Miss Uncle Fu burst into tears. She had witnessed Uncle Fu being struck by the man in white, spitting blood as he landed on the ground. Chen Yushu was also stunned, staring blankly at the scene before her, somewhat bewildered. How could the two girls have ever experienced such a situation before? Even when they encountered robbers in the bank last time, it was not so bloody because of Lin Yi's protection. "Shut up," The man in black who got on the car heard Chu Mengyao's cry and casually took out a towel and waved it in front of Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu, and the two fainted. Drive. After knocking Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu unconscious, he ordered the driver in the car. Don't you want to wait for Master Ma? The driver asked. Young Master Zhen has instructed that Master Ma will go by himself. Let us go first, said the man in black. Okay, the driver nodded and started the car. The Land Rover quickly left the scene and disappeared at the intersection in the blink of an eye. Uncle Fu looked at the departing Land Rover with some despair, exhaled a breath of foul air, and his eyes looking at the man in white became more and more blurred. He could hardly hold on. Do you know why I left you alive? The man in white lowered his head, looking down at Uncle Fu with a gaze that looked down on the world. He said coldly, I'll make you die knowing full well. I'm doing this to clear up your confusion. Uncle Fu said nothing. He was breathing more than breathing in, and didn't want to waste words. He simply hoped that Lin Yi would find them as soon as possible and rescue Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu. My name is Ma Zhu. I practice the Golden Bell cover. I've broken through the 8th level and reached the realm of invulnerability, the man in white said proudly. Killing you would be as easy as killing an ant. Ho ha ho ha. With that, Ma Zhu turned and got into the Land Rover in front. The car started and quickly left the area. Chapter 882 News from Songlingshan. The whole thing actually lasted less than 10 minutes. As Uncle Fu listened to Ma Zhu's laughter, he felt his mind grow increasingly hazy. Sirens blared, and the police car and ambulance arrived almost simultaneously. It must be said that their response was quite fast, though Ma Zhu was just a bit quicker. It was the owner of the cultural and educational store who called the police. He too was horrified by what had just happened. Although he didn't hear the conversation between Ma Zhu and Uncle Fu, Ma Zhu's single palm strike sent Uncle Fu flying. To an ordinary person, it was undoubtedly like watching a movie, horrifying and unimaginable. His internal organs and sternum were shattered, and his life was essentially hopeless. This was the medical staff's conclusion. It was too late to rush him to the hospital, so emergency treatment could only be performed in the ambulance. Songlingshan arrived later. The patrol officers had been the first responders, but seeing that this was a serious kidnapping and assault case, they immediately notified the criminal police. What's going on? Songlingshan got out of the car and quickly ran over. Captain Song, it was the owner of the cultural and educational store who called the police. He's an eyewitness to the entire incident, and his testimony indicates it's a kidnapping. A patrol officer immediately reported to Songlingshan, detailing the details of the case. Have the identities of the hostages and the injured been fully investigated? Songlingshan asked after hearing the details. Based on the license plate left at the scene, the Bentley belongs to the Pengzhan Group. The driver, the injured, is Li Fu, the driver of Pengzhan Group chairman Chu Pengzhan. Based on his identity, the hostages are likely Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu, the patrol officer said. What? Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu? Songlingshan's eyes widened. Of course, it wasn't just the identity of the hostages that surprised her, but the injured Li Fu. She knew Li Fu well. He was Chu Pengzhan's driver and bodyguard. And Uncle Fu's strength was well documented by the police. How could an external martial artist at the peak of the late yellow rank be so severely injured that he was no longer able to survive? Just how powerful must this kidnapper be? And according to the eyewitness, the owner of the cultural education store, he had knocked Uncle Fu away with a single palm strike, meaning he must be at least a Xuanyuan level expert. When had such a formidable expert arrived in Songshan City? And why had he kidnapped Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu? However, Lin Yi was Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu's bodyguard, so Songlingshan's first thought was Lin Yi. She had to inform Lin Yi immediately. Even though she didn't have a good impression of Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu, who were always against her, she knew the difference between public and private. So, Songlingshan had her subordinate Liu Wangli notify Chu Pengzhan while she herself called Lin Yi. When Lin Yi contacted Uncle Fu and found no one on the line, he grew even more uneasy. The phones of the eldest lady and Xiaoshu were both turned off, and Uncle Fu wasn't answering. What did this mean? Something must have happened to the three of them. Uncle Fu isn't answering either, Lin Yi said to Tang Yun, frowning. Go check on them quickly, make sure nothing's wrong, Tang Yun said after a moment's hesitation. Then take your breakfast and eat in the car. Lin Yi was also very worried about Chu Mengyao's safety. Theoretically, with Uncle Fu around, nothing could happen to Chu Mengyao. But there were always unexpected events. What if another expert like you showed up? Don't worry about me. I'm not going. I'll go to school by myself after I finish eating. Tang Yun shook her head. She knew now was not the time to be jealous. If something really happened to Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu, following Lin Yi would definitely get in the way, so Tang Yun wouldn't add to the chaos. Okay, Lin Yi smiled at Tang Yun, grateful for her understanding. He shook her hand. Then be careful. Why should I be careful? You should be careful. Tang Yun wouldn't be in any danger if she went to school alone. It was she who was worried about Lin Yi getting into trouble. I'll be careful. Lin Yi nodded, quickly walked out of the breakfast shop, and drove towards the road that led from the villa to the school. He was going to follow this road to find Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu. Not long after the car drove out, Lin Yi's phone rang. Lin Yi glanced at the caller ID and saw it was Song Lingshan. Hello? What's up? Lin Yi was worried about the safety of Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu, so he didn't feel like talking to Song Lingshan. He just asked hurriedly. Lin Yi, Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu are in trouble. They've been kidnapped. Li Fu has also been seriously injured. They're currently being treated, but I'm afraid they're in critical condition. Song Lingshan didn't care for Lin Yi's tone, she was used to it. Sure enough. Lin Yi was shocked. Something had happened. But he didn't expect Song Lingshan to respond so quickly. She must have already arrived at the scene. From Chu Mengyao's call to now, only a little over 10 minutes had passed. Where are you now? I'll be there right away. Have you notified Uncle Chu? Lin Yi asked. I've already had Chairman Chu notified, Song Lingshan said. I'm on Judian Road, in front of the Minglian Cultural and Educational Store. You'll see them when you come over. There are a lot of police cars, and the scene has been cordoned off. Okay, I'll be there right away. Lin Yi hung up the phone and accelerated the car to maximum speed. Although there were many cars on the road that morning, Lin Yi, with a beetle's compact size and skillful steering, spun through the traffic like a beetle. Lin Yi practically took advantage of every opportunity, never slowing down, sometimes driving in the bus lane, sometimes on the wrong side of the road, and sometimes on the sidewalk. He broke every traffic rule he could to ensure safety. But at this moment, Lin Yi no longer cared. Chu Pengzhan would pay the ticket later, and right now, the safety of Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu was paramount. Of course, besides that, Lin Yi was most worried about Uncle Fu. After all, the affairs of the eldest lady and Xiaoshu could be put on hold, but Uncle Fu's injuries were urgent. Lin Yi wanted to fly the car like it was a plane. Finally, within 5 minutes, Lin Yi arrived at Judian Road and saw several police cars with flashing lights parked on the side of the road. A team of police had set up a cordon to prevent pedestrians from approaching. Lin Yi quickly drove the car over, parked next to the cordon, and got out. Sir, you can't park here. There's a crime here. Please move your car immediately. A police officer saw Lin Yi parked his car next to the cordon and hurried over to say to him. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 883 Uncle Fu's Injury. Song Lingshan asked me to come, Lin Yi said to the policeman, then took out his cell phone and was about to call Song Lingshan when he saw Liu Wangli not far away. Lin Yi immediately called out to him, Liu Wangli. The policeman saw that Lin Yi not only said Song Lingshan's name, but also knew Liu Wangli. It was obvious that Song Lingshan had asked him to come, so he stopped trying to stop him. Seeing Liu Wangli coming over, he went back to his own business. Lin Yi, you're here. Captain Song is over there. Liu Wangli pointed in a direction not far away and said, where's Uncle Fu? Take me there. Lin Yi was not in a hurry to find Song Lingshan. He was worried about Uncle Fu's injuries. Song Lingshan said that Uncle Fu was seriously injured and was afraid that he would not make it. Lin Yi was a little anxious, otherwise he would not have driven the car so fast. Over here, Liu Wangli's expression darkened upon seeing Lin Yi's anxiety. He wasn't angry at Lin Yi's almost commanding tone. He knew Lin Yi had probably been involved in some of the major cases the police had solved recently. Furthermore, Lin Yi and Song Lingshan had a delicate relationship, and Liu Wangli had practically assumed Lin Yi was Song Lingshan's boyfriend. Lin Yi's face darkened upon seeing Uncle Fu on the stretcher. From the looks of it, Uncle Fu was in grave condition. Leave this to me. Everyone go back and rest, Lin Yi said, approaching the busy medical staff. Unaware of Lin Yi's presence, the staff glanced at him with confusion, but didn't move away. You can go back. He'll handle this, Liu Wongli, knowing Lin Yi was no ordinary man, spoke in his defense. Excuse me, officer. It's our duty to save the dying and the wounded. We can't leave without orders from our superiors. A leading medical staff member approached and spoke to Liu Wongli. Are you from the First People's Hospital or the Second People's Hospital? I'll talk to your dean. Lin Yi was anxious. It wasn't that Lin Yi didn't trust these medical staff, but they simply couldn't save Uncle Fu. First People's Hospital, the medical staff didn't hide it. He was not sure about Lin Yi's identity, but he couldn't leave without the order from his superiors. Lin Yi quickly dialed Guan Zuman's phone number, told him what was going on here, and then asked for the medical staff's mobile phone number. When the medical staff heard that Lin Yi was calling Guan Zuman, he was stunned and said, "Excuse me, are you calling Professor Guan Zuman?" "Yes, do you know him?" Lin Yi asked with joy. "What doctor in Songshan City doesn't know Professor Guan?" the doctor asked. "You were introduced by Professor Guan." Lin Yi breathed a sigh of relief and handed the phone to the medical staff, saying, "I'm Guan Zuman's disciple. Leave this to me. I'll explain it to you." The medical staff answered the phone and nodded repeatedly. Guan Zuman told him that Lin Yi was his disciple and that he would handle the situation while he called Director Qin of the hospital. Guan Zuman's words reassured the medical staff. Not long after hanging up, the director called. "Director Qin, hello, this is Zhao Liu." The medical staff quickly answered the phone. Okay, I understand. We will cooperate with Dr. Lin Yi." Director Qin called and told him to do his best to meet Lin Yi's requirements and help him save the patient. With the director's words, Zhao Liu's worries were naturally relieved. Lin Yi leaned over and briefly examined Uncle Fu's injuries, gasping in shock. It was true that Uncle Fu still had a breath left, but this wasn't due to the opponent's lack of strength. Instead, the opponent had deliberately left him with a breath. Judging from Uncle Fu's injuries, the opponent must have only launched a single attack, meaning his strength was far greater than his. Killing him would have been a piece of cake. However, the opponent didn't do so, clearly because he didn't want Uncle Fu to die immediately. He must have exchanged a few words with him after the attack, but most likely, this was to allow Lin Yi to heal Uncle Fu, expending his ki and causing his strength to drop by a level. To save him, or not? Lin Yi hesitated for a moment. Uncle Fu had always been kind to him. Ever since he arrived in Songshan City, he had always been friendly and treated him like a member of the family. Lin Yi didn't want anything to happen to him. But logically, Lin Yi knew that it was unwise for him to consume energy to heal Uncle Fu. The other side had masters present. If he spent energy to heal Uncle Fu, his own strength would definitely be affected. By then, he might not even be able to save Chu Mengyao and Shen Yushu. Although energy can be easily obtained in the Jade Pendant space, it also requires cycles and time. Lin Yi didn't know if it was too late. Lin Yi gritted his teeth and decided to save people first. At least before he had any news about Chu Mengyao and Shen Yushu, he couldn't just stand by and watch them die. Lin Yi had a few more silver needles in his hands, and quickly inserted them into several acupuncture points on Uncle Fu's body. Then, he activated the Xuanyuan Yulong Jue mental method in his mind. This time was similar to the last time he healed Liu Bojia. Lin Yi used silver needles to seal several of Uncle Fu's meridians. Lin Yi planned to use energy to prolong Uncle Fu's life, but he didn't plan to cure him directly. Lin Yi knew full well the terrifying amount of energy required to treat a critically injured, near-death patient. He feared that even after curing Uncle Fu, he would have entered a dormant state. Doing so now would undoubtedly be extremely dangerous. Lin Yi could only use a small portion of his energy to keep Uncle Fu alive. As long as he survived, he would have plenty of time to treat him once this was over. However, whether Uncle Fu's martial arts skills could be preserved was uncertain. Such a severe injury to an external martial arts expert was likely completely destroyed. While Lin Yi could use energy to create a high-level yellow-level dog, he couldn't create a yellow-level expert. The energy required for a human and a dog was vastly different. Creating a high-level yellow-level dog would force Lin Yi into a dormant state, let alone a yellow-level expert. If that were possible, Feng Xiaoxiao would have already become a yellow-level expert. Furthermore, Uncle Fu was an external martial arts expert. Even if he had enough energy to create a yellow-level expert, it wouldn't be applicable to him. Because what external martial arts masters need is not energy, but years of body training. Chapter 884 Target Person. Huh? Lin Yi breathed a sigh of relief. Uncle Fu's life was saved. As for whether he could regain his strength, that wasn't Lin Yi's concern. This was all Lin Yi could do now. Even so, it made Lin Yi break out in a cold sweat and consume a lot of energy. After all, that single blow was enough to kill Uncle Fu. Although Lin Yi hadn't completely healed Uncle Fu, that was only his body and bones. He had to use his energy to repair his internal organs, otherwise any damage would be enough to kill him. If it weren't for Uncle Fu's exceptional physique, an ordinary person wouldn't have been able to hold on this long. Lin Yi wiped the sweat from his forehead and looked up to see Songlingshan and Chu Pengzhan had already arrived, standing by, anxiously watching him. Songlingshan had witnessed Lin Yi's healing skills. When she arrived, she dispersed everyone around Lin Yi and sent Liu Wangli and his squadron to protect him, preventing anyone from interfering with him. Zai, how are you? Chu Pengzhan's face was very solemn, with a frown on his face. Although he was worried about his daughter's safety, he was also worried about Uncle Fu's injuries. His life is saved, but I can't say whether he can recover his strength. After all, Uncle Fu is an external master, and his body is damaged like this. Lin Yi shrugged. His energy could only restore the damaged parts to their original state, as if they were reborn, but it was definitely impossible to make Uncle Fu's body and bones return to the tempered state. That requires long-term and continuous training to achieve, and it is not something that Lin Yi's energy can change. Unlike the true key of the internal masters, which can be replenished through energy conversion, this is also the biggest difference between internal and external masters. Once the meridians of the internal masters are damaged, the true key in the body will not be able to be preserved, and they will become a useless person. Once the body of an external martial arts master is seriously injured, even if the injury is healed, it is impossible to restore the body to its previous state, and it is basically the same as an ordinary person. It's good to save your life. Chu Pengzhan breathed a sigh of relief. It doesn't matter whether Uncle Fu can recover his strength. As long as he can survive, that is the most important thing. Although Chu Pengzhan and Uncle Fu are nominally a master-servant relationship, but after so many years, who can be heartless? The relationship between him and Uncle Fu is almost like that of old friends in confidence. Even if Chu Pengzhan loses everything, he will hope that Uncle Fu can survive. How are Yao and Xiaoshu? Is there any news? Lin Yi's face was a little pale. Treating Uncle Fu obviously consumed a lot of his physical strength. This state is not suitable for fighting, but the situation is urgent at the moment, and you can't take a rest. The license plates of the two Land Rover Aurora off-road vehicles driven by the kidnappers are all fake. They are license plates from a car rental company in Donghae City. Through the POS machine, it was found that the original model was a Honda CR-V. The identity of the kidnappers cannot be determined at the moment, Liu Wangli told the news he had found out from the investigation, and the kidnappers are very cunning and should have strong anti-tracking capabilities. Only a few cameras on the main roads captured these two cars. And then they disappeared. There are two possibilities. One is that the kidnappers changed cars, and the other is that the kidnappers deliberately avoided some cameras when they arrived at their destination or were driving. Chu Pengzhan nodded and sighed slightly. He didn't even know who his opponent was this time. He was completely at a loss. After listening to Liu Wangli's words, he couldn't help but turn his head to look at Lin Yi, hoping that he could give him an idea. Uncle Chu, since the kidnappers have taken Yao and Xiaoshu, they must have a purpose. I'm sure they'll contact us. Lin Yi pondered for a moment and said, if they didn't want to use Yao and Xiaoshu to achieve some goal, they wouldn't have taken them. If they simply had a grudge, they should have been shot on the spot like Uncle Fu did. Yeah, but they're both girls. Chu Pengzhan had actually thought as much. Since the kidnappers had taken his daughter and Xiaoshu, they must have wanted to use them to achieve some goal, but he was worried that they might be tempted by their beauty. Instead of wasting our time here, I think we should go back and wait for the kidnappers' call, Lin Yi suggested. He needed to get some sleep to replenish his energy. Otherwise, even if he got news of the kidnappers, he wouldn't be able to fight them. Okay, Chu Pengzhan was no longer the high-spirited company chairman at this moment, but an anxious father. He had no idea what to do, but since Lin Yi suggested going back and waiting, he had no choice but to do so for now. Songlingshan did not stop him, because she knew that if Lin Yi couldn't solve the problem, it would be useless for her to worry. Since Lin Yi wanted to go back, then let him go. As for Uncle Fu, Lin Yi did not send him to the hospital, but asked a medical staff named Xiao Liu to help send him to the villa. Lin Yi had already controlled Uncle Fu's injuries. As long as he was not injured again, Uncle Fu's injuries would not worsen. At this moment, only Lin Yi, Chu Pengzhan, Uncle Fu and a high-ranking yellow-level dog, General Weiwu, were left in the villa. Xiao Yi, are we just going to wait for the kidnappers to contact us? Chu Pengzhan glanced at his watch anxiously. More than an hour had passed, and the kidnappers had not called yet, making him a little restless. Besides that, I can't think of anything better, Lin Yi sighed. Most importantly, I need to rest. I've expended a lot of my ki trying to control Uncle Fu's injuries. I'm afraid this is a trap set by the enemy, deliberately leaving Uncle Fu alive to drain my strength. Chu Pengzhan's expression suddenly froze after hearing Lin Yi's words. He hadn't given it much thought before, but now that he heard Lin Yi's words, he felt it was very likely. He quickly said, Xiao Yi, then you should go and rest. I'll wait for the kidnappers' call here. No, I'll be fine on the couch, Lin Yi said, closing his eyes and falling into a doze. Lin Yi wasn't sound asleep. After entering the Jade Pendant space, he was still aware of what was happening outside. Although Lin Yi was in the Jade Pendant space, furiously absorbing the energy within, his mind never rested, constantly speculating about who his opponent would be this time. Following the chronological order of events, Lin Yi's suspicions narrowed to two people, Yu Kun of the Yu family and Zhen Yingjin. As a first-class family, the Yu family couldn't possibly remain silent after a direct descendant of their family was injured. That would be unworthy of the Yu family's reputation as a first-class family, and the Yu family would not tolerate this. But what puzzled Lin Yi was that if the Yu family were to send someone, the first person they would probably deal with would be him, not Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu. Chapter 885 The Kidnappers' Demands. Judging from the Yu family's style of doing things, they must have come to seek revenge this time. Why did they kidnap Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu? After killing Uncle Fu, they should have come to find me. However, the kidnappers didn't do that. So Lin Yi thought about it for a long time and ruled out the possibility of the Yu family. Then there was only Zhen Yingjin left. Although Lin Yi didn't know what Zhen Yingjin's background was, if Zhen Yingjin could really find such a master to help, it is very likely that he would do what he did now. First, although he has a grudge against me, this grudge is not against me, but against Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu. It was Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu who made him lose face in the billiard room. Although I helped him secretly, Zhen Yingjin didn't know this. Afterwards, at the door of the billiard room, although it was me who punished him, it was Chen Yushu who asked me to punish him. So if the kidnapper this time is Zhen Yingjin's man, everything can be explained. However, the thought that the kidnapper was Zhen Yingjin made Lin Yi feel uneasy again. Zhen Yingjin had long coveted Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu. Would he do something brutal to them this time? Liu Wangli's inference was correct. The kidnappers had switched vehicles in a secluded location. Two identical Land Rovers driving on the road would have been too conspicuous, likely attracting police attention. So, in a deserted alley, the man in black and Mazu took Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu to a pre-prepared, older Toyota Previa commercial vehicle. The Previa, also known as the Grand Overlord, was an early commercial vehicle with a large market share. Therefore, after the change of vehicles, the group appeared unobtrusive and ordinary. The person who had contacted them quickly removed the fake license plates from the two Land Rovers and replaced them with real ones. Each of them drove off in two different directions, one for each of them. This way, no one would suspect anything. After getting in the car, one of the men in black called Zhen Yingjin, Master Jun, the hostages are in our hands. We've safely changed cars. Oh? Great. You did a great job. I'll call Chu Pengzhan right away. Zhen Yingjin, upon hearing that the plan had been executed so smoothly, danced with joy. By the way, how is it going with Master Ma? Master Ma followed your instructions and didn't kill Li Fu completely. He left him with a breath. If Lin Yi wants to save him, he'll have to expend a lot of ki, and his strength will surely be weakened, making him less formidable, the man in black reported. Okay, great. Then hurry up, I can't wait, Zhen Yingjin nodded repeatedly. Previously, in order to successfully kill Lin Yi, he had specifically told Mazu not to kill Uncle Fu, but to leave him with a breath. Isn't Lin Yi a doctor? If he wants Uncle Fu to survive, he'll have to expend a lot of ki. This was the strategy Zhen Yingjin had come up with when the Medicine King was treating him. If he could use Uncle Fu's injuries to distract Lin Yi, causing him to consume a significant amount of his qi, then no matter how skilled he was, he would be no match for Ma Zu and the Musketeers. Healing a wounded person requires a significant amount of qi, a fact confirmed by Ma Zu himself, hence the previous scene. Otherwise, Ma Zu wouldn't have needed to repeatedly and verbally tell Uncle Fu that he was only keeping him alive to clear his mind. This was simply to confuse Uncle Fu and keep him from knowing his true purpose. Otherwise, Ma Zu wouldn't have bothered to waste time talking to Uncle Fu. Chu Pengzhan sat on the sofa, waiting for the kidnapper's call, but he felt restless and couldn't calm down at all. Chu Pengzhan glanced at Lin Yi, who was resting with his eyes closed, and suddenly stood up. He felt he had to do something, but after standing up, he didn't know what to do. Although Lin Yi closed his eyes to rest, he wasn't idle, mentally mulling over countermeasures. Zhen Yingjin's actions had already crossed Lin Yi's line. He thought, if the kidnappers still hadn't called after he regained his strength, Lin Yi would go straight to the Zhen family and dig them out, no matter how deep the ground was. Chu Pengzhan had just stood up when his phone suddenly rang in his pocket. Chu Pengzhan quickly pulled it out and checked the caller ID. It was a hidden number, showing all zeros. Hello, this is Chu Pengzhan. Chu Pengzhan was already 90% certain that the caller was the kidnapper. After all, most people didn't need to hide their numbers when making calls. Hello, Mr. Chu, it's a pleasure to meet you. A shrill voice came from the phone, clearly distorted by a voice changer. The fake politeness made it even more uncomfortable. Who are you? What's the matter? Chu Pengzhan asked, frowning. It doesn't matter who I am. What's important is, do you want to know the whereabouts of your daughter and her best friend? I'm an insider. Ha ha ha. The person on the phone was a bit unscrupulous, even fearless. My daughter and Xiaoshu were kidnapped by you? What do you want? Chu Pengzhan was completely sure of the caller's identity at this moment. He must be the kidnapper without a doubt. However, this made Chu Pengzhan feel a little relieved. As long as the kidnapper was willing to contact him, it would be a good thing. Chu Pengzhan was not afraid that the other party would put forward some conditions. He was afraid that the other party would not ask for conditions, but would quietly take his daughter away and then disappear. Mr. Chu, what you said is not right. What do you mean by kidnapping? I'm just an insider, the other party said shamelessly. I just heard that Mr. Chu offered a reward of 200 million for anyone who provides clues. Is that right? Chu Pengzhan was very angry at the caller. She was really a whore who wanted to build a memorial archway. She clearly wanted a ransom, but she said it was a reward. Yes, however, Chu Pengzhan knew that he could not anger the kidnappers, so he could only nod and say, that's right, you want 200 million, I can give it to you. But you must ensure the safety of my daughter and Xiaoshu. If they are hurt in the slightest, I will not give you the money. Although 200 million is not a small amount, Chu Pengzhan's entire personal assets are only about 500 million, and this is including the company's shares and real estate. In terms of cash, 200 million is almost the limit of what he can take out. It seems that the other party had investigated him before and knew how much cash he could take out. I'm afraid that this 200 million is not said casually. Chapter 886, another 50 million. Indeed, Zhen Dazhao had previously investigated the Pengzhan Group and Chu Pengzhan's personal assets, and the amount he demanded was also the upper limit of Chu Pengzhan's acceptance. He only wanted cash, not shares and real estate, because those were impossible to sell. If he kept them in his hands, wouldn't he be waiting for the police to arrest him? He was not stupid. Mr. Chu, you are wrong. I am just a brave man. I can only ensure that your daughter and her best friend come back alive. As for whether they are harmed or not, I have no control over it. That is what the kidnappers want to do. The caller was not afraid of Chu Pengzhan's threats at all, and said shamelessly. Chu Pengzhan's heart sank. What he feared most was that his daughter and Xiaoshu would be harmed by the kidnappers, and after listening to the kidnappers' words, they would most likely do so. Chu Pengzhan held the phone tightly, his body trembling a little. How can I not hurt Xiaoyao and Xiaoshu? I can give you any money. Oh? Now that you have said that, it seems that Mr. Chu doesn't want to cooperate with me. The caller changed the subject and sneered. Well, then, you wait to collect the bodies of your daughter and her bestie. Wait, Chu Pengzhan sighed. It seemed that it was good enough for his daughter and Xiaoshu to come back alive. As for being insulted, he couldn't care less. Presumably, In this situation, his daughter and Xiaoshu didn't want it. As long as they didn't make it public in the future, it would be fine. It's better than dying. Oh? Has Mr. Chu changed his mind again? The caller seemed to have made sure of Chu Pengzhan, knowing that he could change his mind and continue talking to him. Okay, I promise, but please try not to hurt him. If possible, I'll find a way to raise another 50 million yuan for you later as compensation, Chu Pengzhan said. Chu Pengzhan, keep my word. You can ask around in the business world about my reputation. I mean what I say. I hope you can trust me. Of course I know your reputation, but that's not up to me, the caller said calmly. Go and raise the money now. I'll call you later and tell you how to pay. No problem, I'll get it ready as soon as possible, Chu Pengzhan said. Don't call the police, or your daughter will die a horrible death, the caller finally reminded Chu Pengzhan. Chu Pengzhan sneered inwardly. Aren't you the one who provided the tip that bravely helped others? You're not allowed to call the police again? Has he finally revealed his true colors? However, Chu Pengzhan naturally kept his thoughts to himself. He didn't dare to anger the criminals, so he simply said, no, don't worry. In truth, Chu Pengzhan had no intention of calling the police. The other party clearly had a skilled expert, and police intervention would undoubtedly anger them. Even if he finally saved his daughter, he might not be able to stop the master. What would happen to him in the future? It would surely provoke even more frenzied retaliation from these people. Next time, it wouldn't be just a kidnapping, he might be killed outright like Uncle Fu. Shortly after Chu Pengzhan hung up, Lin Yi's phone rang. Although Lin Yi had been cultivating in the Jade Pendant space, he could still hear the conversation between Chu Pengzhan and the kidnappers, but he didn't say anything, wanting to seize every moment to recover his strength as quickly as possible. Now the phone rang. Lin Yi had no choice but to return to reality from his cultivation space and answer it. He initially thought it was the kidnappers calling, but the number displayed was Songlingshan's. Hello? Any news? Lin Yi asked. We've already monitored Mr. Chu Pengzhan's phone. We heard the kidnappers call, but we haven't located him. The call was forwarded to an IP telephony server overseas, Songlingshan said with some regret. Is there anything we can do? Not for now. I can handle it myself. They clearly have experts. You're no match for them. Lin Yi declined Songlingshan's help. Although Songlingshan was somewhat displeased by Lin Yi's words, you're no match, she also understood that she truly was no match. She and Uncle Fu were roughly equal in strength. One was an internal martial arts master at the late yellow rank, the other an external martial arts master at the peak of the late yellow rank. In a real fight, they should have been evenly matched. Yet, the kidnapper had managed to severely injure Uncle Fu with a single blow. Songlingshan would likely have suffered the same outcome had she gone there. Then be careful, little silly girl, rooting for you. Songlingshan, for some reason, felt a surge of worry. He had been so oppressive, and she was worried about him. Songlingshan couldn't understand her own thoughts. Oh, okay, Lin Yi hung up the phone. Songshan City is called Songshan City because there are many mountains nearby. Apart from Xuanyuan Mountain, which has been developed into a tourist attraction, some of the steeper mountains have not been developed, and generally no one goes up the mountain. Among these steep mountains, there is one called Nanjingjing Mountain. Of course, this is the common name given to the mountain by the locals. As for the geographical name of the mountain, almost no one can tell clearly, and it is not even certain whether there is such a mountain name on the map. Nanjingjing Mountain is called Nanjingjing Mountain because it is located in the south of Songshan City. The word mirror refers to the fact that its mountain surface is very steep and full of rocks. After the rain, it is as smooth as a mirror and difficult to walk on. In short, there is nothing on this mountain, and most people will not go up this mountain. Today, at the foot of this mountain, there are two cars parked. One is a Mercedes-Benz with a Donghae license plate, and the other is a Toyota Previa commercial vehicle. On the mountain, Zhen Yingzhen had just called Chu Pengzhan using a voice changer. He was a little hesitant for a moment. Originally, he was thinking of asking Chu Pengzhan for 200 million, then playing with his daughter and Chen Yashu, killing Lin Yi, and the account would be settled. However, he heard that Chu Pengzhan wanted to give him another 50 million, and he was suddenly tempted. That was 50 million. His medical treatment had only cost 40 million in total, and Chu Pengzhan actually added 50 million. The condition was that Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu could not be harmed. To say that Zhen Yingzhen was not tempted was nonsense. He really was tempted. What was the concept of 50 million? Let alone 50 million, he could find a virgin for 10,000 yuan. To play with Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu by himself, the price was a bit too high. Although it was the first time he heard of someone offering extra money to the kidnappers, Chu Pengzhan's credibility was still well known. He believed that as long as Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu were released safely, Chu Pengzhan would fulfill his promise, but he still felt a little unwilling. Chapter 887 Long coveted. Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu were truly stunning. He'd never seen such beauties in the East China Sea, and he didn't want to give up just like that. Damn it, 50 million was 50 million. It was worth it. Just pretend Chu Pengzhan hadn't said anything. With that thought, Zhen Yingjin gritted his teeth and headed towards the cave. Having agreed on a price with Chu Pengzhan, it was time for him to enjoy these two beauties. When Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu woke up, they found their hands and feet bound and thrown into a cave. The dim light made it difficult to see clearly. Sister Yao, are you awake? Chen Yashu, having just woken up, instinctively called out to Chu Mengyao. Yes, she said, having woken up more than 10 minutes earlier. She was surveying the cave, an indescribable sadness etched between her brows. The image of Uncle Fu flying backwards kept recurring to her mind. Chu Mengyao wished it were just a dream, that everything would be over once she woke up. But it wasn't a dream. Where are we? Are we dreaming? Chen Yashu had just woken up, feeling a bit confused. No, we've been captured. Chu Mengyao shook her head, a hint of sadness in her voice. I wonder if Uncle Fu is alright. He should be alright. Don't forget that Brother Arrow is a miracle doctor. He could even cure General Weiwu. Chen Yashu is quite optimistic. It's different. If Lin Yi wanted to save Uncle Fu, it would take a long time and consume a huge amount of his true energy. If he wants to save us now, he can't save Uncle Fu. Chu Mengyao had previously considered whether Lin Yi would save Uncle Fu, but the more she thought about it, the more unlikely it seemed, unless Lin Yi had completely abandoned her and Xiaoshu. Ah, Chen Yashu said, feeling worried. You guys are awake? That's great. If not, I'd have to wake you up. I don't like unresponsive women. Zhen Yingjin walked into the cave and was pleasantly surprised to see Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu awake. Zhen Yingjin? It's you? So it was you who kidnapped us? Chu Mengyao had been wondering who had captured them and who had such a deep hatred for them that she had tried to kill Uncle Fu. But she had never expected that it was Zhen Yingjin who did it. Haha, that's right, it was me. Zhen Yingjin laughed loudly. What do you think? Didn't expect it. Indeed, I didn't expect it. We don't have any deep hatred, do we? Why did you do this? Chu Mengyao asked. She was trying her best to delay time. She knew that the longer she delayed, the more time Lin Yi would have to rescue them. No? You made me crooked and lame, and you don't have a deep hatred for me? The most infuriating thing is, you even tampered with me, making me impotent. Zhen Yingjin was immediately furious when Chu Mengyao mentioned the hatred between them, his eyes full of anger. Thanks to the medicine king who was with Bing Xiao, I would have become a living eunuch. All because I kicked an old woman who was picking up rags, and it was a sack she was holding, and you let that bastard Lin Yi kill me. Do you think this counts as a deep hatred? Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu were stunned. They knew that Lin Yi had made him crooked and lame, but they didn't take it seriously, thinking it was just temporary. But they didn't know that Lin Yi had given him some hidden disease that caused him to be impotent. Hearing this, they couldn't help but blush. After all, it touched on some private matters. However, the two didn't let Lin Yi make Zhen Yingjin impotent. Did Lin Yi act on his own initiative? But even if Lin Yi had acted on his own initiative, they didn't blame him. After all, he was standing up for them. So, what do you want? Chu Mengyao asked directly, not dwelling on the question. What do you want? I've just cured my impotence, and I'm looking for a girl to experiment on. And I've been coveting you two for a long time, so today I'll use you as my experiment, Zhen Yingjin said fiercely. Ah, Chu Mengyao was shocked. She hadn't expected Zhen Yingjin to have such an idea. Shocked, angry, and a little scared, she looked at Zhen Yingjin. How dare you? If you do this, the consequences will be dire. Consequences? What consequences could there be? Zhen Yingjin laughed nonchalantly. I've already called Chu Pengzhan, and even he's tacitly allowed me to do something to you. As long as he doesn't kill you, what do I have to fear? Lin Yi will kill you, Chu Mengyao said, a little timidly. She hadn't expected Zhen Yingjin to have already called her father. Yes, Sister Yao and I are Brother Arrow's first and second wives. He will kill you, Chen Yushu echoed. Lin Yi is already in danger of his own death. He'll be dead soon. Although Zhen Yingjin used to be very afraid of Lin Yi, now in his eyes, Lin Yi has become a dead man. Under the attack of the musketeers and Mazu, there is no possibility for Lin Yi to survive. Chu Mengyao was shocked. She didn't think Zhen Yingjin was bragging. He must have his reasons. After all, Uncle Fu was seriously injured by the masters around him, and his life or death was unknown. What if that master was even more powerful than Lin Yi? Then Lin Yi coming here would undoubtedly be tantamount to committing suicide. She also didn't want Lin Yi to come here. Okay, stop talking nonsense. Who of you two will sacrifice yourself first? Zhen Yingjin looked at Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu with a lewd smile. He felt that his lower body had already reacted. Haha, the king of medicine is really powerful. Before, she had taken Viagra and there was no movement, but after being treated by him, she suddenly became majestic. Oh, wait a minute, I have to go to the bathroom urgently. You go out first, Chen Yushu suddenly said to Zhen Yingjin. Toilet. Zhen Yingjin was stunned. He hadn't expected Chen Yushu to suddenly need the restroom at this moment, and he couldn't help but ask subconsciously, big or small? P. Chen Yushu said. I kind of need to go to the bathroom too. Chu Mengyao didn't know what Chen Yushu meant, but she knew that Chen Yushu was always quirky and had a lot of tricks up her sleeve. She must have her reasons for wanting to go to the bathroom at this time. Damn. What a lazy donkey. Zhen Yingjin was furious. He was just in high spirits, and these two people suddenly wanted to go to the bathroom. There was nothing he could do, so he said, then hurry up, get out of here for a while, otherwise how can we go out in front of you? Chen Yushu said. You're going to be mine soon, why are you talking so much? If you want to go, do it now, and don't talk nonsense, Zhen Yingjin said impatiently. Chapter 888 You are so cruel. No, if you don't go out, I can't go out, and then I will have to pee in my pants. Chen Yushu was not giving in. You, Zhen Yingjin cursed inwardly, you are so cruel. If Chen Yushu and Chu Mengyao really peed their pants, how disgusting would that be? There is no place to take a shower in this cave, how will I play when I am so horny later? Zhen Yingjin had no choice but to turn around and leave the cave, but Chen Yushu shouted again, hey, you tied my hands, how can I go to the toilet? Zhen Yingjin cursed Chen Yushu for being nosy, walked over, lowered his head, and untied the ropes on Chen Yushu's hands and feet. In the dim light of the cave, the faint blush on Chen Yushu's face looked particularly charming and alluring, tempting Zhen Yingjin. He wanted to reach out and grab Chen Yushu's breasts. Such a cute girl with big headlights was truly rare. Zhen Yingjin was about to enjoy himself when he heard Chen Yushu say, don't touch me, I'll pee my pants if you do. Huh? Zhen Yingjin was startled by Chen Yushu's words. His hand, suspended in the air, suddenly stopped. He glared at Chen Yushu, why are you so nosy? Hurry up, or you'll really pee your pants. Chen Yushu ignored him and continued to urge him. Zhen Yingjin snorted, stood up, and turned to walk out of the cave. He tried to peek in from outside, but the glare from outside contrasted sharply with the dimness inside. From outside, he couldn't see anything, it was pitch black. Zhen Yingjin gave up and turned to check the musketeers' ambush. He wanted to make sure that after luring Lin Yi in, he would shoot him to death with random gunfire, but he couldn't let his own men be exposed, and at the same time arouse Lin Yi's vigilance. It was really difficult to hide in this sparsely wooded mountain, so the musketeers could only find rocks to temporarily cover their figures, hoping that when Lin Yi arrived, they would hide him with one shot. In the cave, Chen Yushu was not in a hurry to go to the bathroom, but opened her school bag first. The black-clad men had taken her cell phone but not her school bag. Even after they were tied up, the school bag was still slung across her body. Zia Oshu, what are you doing? Aren't you going to the bathroom? Chu Mengyao asked curiously. What? I didn't drink water this morning. I tricked Zhen Yingjin out so that I could make preparations. Otherwise, we would be raped by him, and that wouldn't be okay, Chen Yushu said as she quickly flipped through her school bag. Chu Mengyao frowned. Do you have a way to avoid it? Oh, I don't like him. Sister Yao, you still have to save your first time for Brother Arrow. How can you give it to this fool of his? Chen Yushu nodded and said. Why do you involve me again? You want to give it to Lin Yi yourself, right? Chu Mengyao glared at Chen Yushu with a bit of a helpless look. At this time, She still had the mind to make a joke. "Oh, that's up to you to think about it." "I'm the concubine," Chen Yushu suddenly shouted in surprise. "Found it." Chu Mengyao saw what Chen Yushu was holding in her hand, which was a pack of sanitary napkins. She was stunned for a moment. At this moment, she understood Chen Yushu's plan, but she was a little suspicious and said, "Are you going to use this to trick him? Will it work?" Although Zhen Yingjin looked silly, he shouldn't be that easy to fool, right? "Of course I can't fool him this way, but what if I add some ingredients?" Chen Yushu smiled slyly. Took out the red fountain pen ink she bought in the morning, opened 2 sanitary napkins, quickly sprinkled the red fountain pen ink on them, and then threw them in the corner of the cave. After doing all this, Chen Yushu took out a bottle of mineral water and sprinkled it on them, pretending that she had just urinated. Chu Mengyao was a little dumbfounded. This is also possible? But if you don't look closely, it still looks quite similar. Huh? It's not over yet. Chen Yushu took out 2 sanitary napkins, opened them, sprinkled the fountain pen ink on them, and stuffed them into her pants. "Zia Oshu, you actually..." Chu Mengyao widened her eyes. "So much fountain pen ink, it's so dirty?" "Sister Yao, what about you? Come, I'll help you stuff it into your pants." Chen Yushu picked up another sanitary napkin and said to Chu Mengyao, "Me, I want one too." Chu Mengyao looked at the sanitary napkin covered with red pen ink and felt a little disgusted. "Oh, Sister Yao, if you don't want to lose your virginity, just bear with it. At worst, you can go home and take a shower." Chen Yushu didn't care. After listening to Chen Yushu's words, Chu Mengyao could only acquiesce to her. Although it felt strange, Chu Mengyao had to admit that Chen Yushu's idea was indeed a good one. After doing all this, Chen Yushu buckled her school bag and hid the red pen ink. Done. Although Chen Yushu's idea prevented the two from being violated by Zhen Yingjin, Chu Mengyao thought of Uncle Fu and suddenly felt sad. "Zia Oshu, it's us who harmed Uncle Fu. If we didn't want to prank Zhen Yingjin, we wouldn't have encountered today's disaster. I think Brother Arrow must have a way." Chen Yushu actually believed in Lin Yi. "You really believe in him?" Chu Mengyao didn't hope that Lin Yi would treat Uncle Fu first. Moreover, it would be better not to come to rescue herself and Zia Oshu. Listening to Zhen Yingjin's tone, he seemed to have made preparations a long time ago. If Lin Yi came, it would be dangerous. "Oh, it's okay," Chen Yushu nodded. "Sister Yao, don't you believe in Brother Arrow? He has saved us several times." "I don't know." Chu Mengyao shook her head, feeling a little lost because of Uncle Fu's matter. As the two were talking, Zhen Yingjin returned to the cave again. "Hey, have you two finished peeing? You are so slow, you are so troublesome." "Oh, you are done peeing. Do you have anything else to do?" Chen Yushu asked. "What's the matter?" "Of course I want to fuck you." Zhen Yingjin smiled, and a trace of desire flashed in his eyes. "Ah. It seems that you can't do it today," Chen Yushu said with some regret. "No? You say no, so it's no. I say it must be okay." Zhen Yingjin was amused by Chen Yushu's words. It was already in his hands, but he still said such childish words. "No, I mean we are having our period." Chen Yushu shrugged and said. "Performing? Which period?" Zhen Yingjin was stunned, and then seemed to react. He looked at Chen Yushu in disbelief. "Is it true? Are you kidding me? But you are not a ghost." Chen Yushu shook his head. "If you don't believe me, look over there. There are sanitary napkins." We changed. Zhen Yingjin frowned, and walked in the direction Chen Yushu pointed with some suspicion. Sure enough, he saw a pool of water in the corner of the cave. On the water, there were 2 sanitary napkins thrown on them. The blood on them was scary. Chapter 889 Successful Deception. Zhen Yingjin had a problem since childhood, that is, he was afraid of blood. So after just one look, he felt a little dizzy and quickly stood up, but he still didn't quite believe it. How could these 2 people do that together? How could such a coincidence happen? Zhen Yingjin didn't doubt the authenticity of the sanitary napkin on the ground. Because the light in the cave was dim, he couldn't tell whether it was blood or something else. He just thought that it was a bit unreasonable for 2 people to do that together. "You two came together?" Zhen Yingjin frowned and looked at Chen Yushu and Chu Mengyao. "Yes, actually, we are Lin Yi's first and second wives. We often have sex together. In order to ensure that we can have sex 25 days a month, we deliberately mixed the menstrual drugs together," Chen Yushu said seriously and shyly. "Huh?" Zhen Yingjin was stunned. "Are you not virgins anymore?" "Of course not," Chen Yushu glanced at Zhen Yingjin with some disdain. We're all 18, how could we still be virgins? Zhen Yingjin was truly confused by Chen Yushu. He didn't know if what she said was true or not. However, Chu Mengyao had said before that Lin Yi would kill him if he touched them. Could they really be Lin Yi's concubines? Wasn't Lin Yi a bodyguard? Of course, a master of medicine like Lin Yi would be a guest of honor wherever he went, just like the medicine king beside Zhao Kaibing, whom even the young soldier respected. How could Lin Yi be willing to be a henchman for two little girls? If he said Lin Yi had no relationship with them, Zhen Yingjin himself was a little skeptical. Now it seemed that Chen Yushu was not lying. You're not lying? Take off your pants, let me check. Zhen Yingjin would have believed Chu Mengyao was having her period, but Chen Yushu looked very cunning, and he was a little skeptical. Oh, okay. Then I'll take it out and show it to you. Turn around first, Chen Yushu said to Zhen Yingjin. Don't play tricks, take off your pants quickly and let me see. Zhen Yingjin naturally wouldn't turn around. He was afraid that Chen Yushu would play some tricks. Okay, I'll take it out and show it to you. Chen Yushu turned around, then quickly pulled something out of his pants, turned around and handed it to Zhen Yingjin. Here, Zhen Yingjin was shocked when he saw Chen Yushu handing him a bloody thing. He subconsciously hid behind him. When he took a closer look, he saw that it was indeed a bloody sanitary napkin. He quickly waved his hand, take it away, move it aside. He was afraid of blood and felt a little dizzy when he saw blood, but now he really believed what Chen Yushu said. These two people really did that. Chen Yushu threw the bloody sanitary napkin aside and shook his hands, scaring Zhen Yingjin to hide behind him again. Actually, if this hadn't happened, we wouldn't mind being toyed with by you, as long as you didn't tell Lin Yi, Chen Yushu said with some regret, but you picked a bad day. How about you wait a few days? We're in your hands anyway, so you don't need a few more days, damn it. What bad luck. I'm having my period. Zhen Yingjin, seeing his chance was over, ignored Chen Yushu's words and cursed as he tied Chen Yushu's hands and feet together again. He then tied Chu Mengyao's hands and feet. He had an instinctive aversion to blood, so after tying them, he didn't want to stay here any longer. He stood up and left the cave. However, as he reached the cave entrance, Zhen Yingjin suddenly burst into laughter again. Wahahaha. It seems that God wants me to get rich. Zhen Yingjin suddenly remembered that if he didn't touch Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu, Chu Pengzhan had promised him another 50 million. Now think about it calmly, spending 50 million to play with two girls who are not even virgins? Then I really lost a lot. It's better to have money. With this 50 million, what kind of woman can I not find? Zhen Yingjin gave up the idea of violating Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu, and became much more rational. The more he thought about it, the more impulsive he was before, and the more he felt that it was not worth it. Fortunately, these two girls became popular, otherwise he would have been happy for a while and 50 million would be gone. Thinking of this, Zhen Yingjin picked up the phone and dialed Chu Pengzhan's number again. Chu Pengzhan received a call from the kidnappers and wanted to discuss countermeasures with Lin Yi, but before he could open his mouth, Song Lingshan called first. Chu Pengzhan waited until Lin Yi and Song Lingshan finished talking on the phone before saying, Zai, the kidnappers asked for 200 million yuan, give it to him, I'm afraid he will have the life to take it but not the life to spend it, Lin Yi said lightly. I think so too. As long as it can exchange for the safety of Yao and Zai Oshu, I can give him any amount of money, Chu Pengzhan sighed, but it's quite the kidnapper's intention. He has other ideas about Yao and Zai Oshu. This is also the problem that Lin Yi is most anxious and worried about. He hopes that the two girls can delay time as much as possible and wait for him to rescue them. Zai Oshu is a shrewd girl. She should be able to think of a way to deal with it. As the two were talking, Chu Pengzhan's phone rang again. Chu Pengzhan glanced at the caller ID on the phone with a serious expression. It was still the number with a bunch of zero, so he picked up the phone solemnly. Hello, Mr. Chu, after careful consideration, I decided to adopt your suggestion. 250 million, I will not hurt your daughter and her bestie. What do you think of this proposal? Zhen Yingjin was really glad that he didn't get horny on Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu, otherwise he would have no money. Okay, I promise you, 250 million, Chu Pengzhan was surprised and delighted after hearing what Zhen Yingjin said. He had already made the worst-case scenario plan, but he didn't expect the kidnappers to agree to his proposal. It seems that the kidnappers still value money. Chu Pengzhan didn't know that Chen Yushu had a weird period incident that made Zhen Yingjin decide to give up. Great. But I don't want to give it to me later. I want you to give me the 250 million all at once. Is that a problem? Although Zhen Yingjin knew that Chu Pengzhan had a good reputation, that only applied to some business partners. His current role was a kidnapper. Could he really expect him to talk about credibility with the kidnappers? Chu Pengzhan hesitated. He only had a little over 200 million yuan available at the moment, but if he borrowed from his business partners, he should be able to make up the difference. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 890 Lin Yi borrows money. Thinking of this, Chu Pengzhan nodded and said, "Okay, I promise you. But how can I give you the money? After I give it to you, will you release my daughter and Xiao Shu immediately? I'll give you an account and you transfer the money there. After I check the receipt of the money, I will give you an address. You ask the man named Lin Yi to pick up your daughter and her bestie. Remember, he can only come alone. If there are too many people, we who stay there would rather kill them." Zhen Yingjin said, "Of course, I believe Mr. Chu is a smart man and will not choose to call the police. The masters around me can kill Uncle Fu, and naturally they will kill your whole family quietly." Although Chu Pengzhan was a little suspicious as to why the other party specifically asked Lin Yi to pick people up, Lin Yi was the only available person around him. If Lin Yi didn't go, who else could he let go? "Okay, I won't call the police. I hope you will keep your promise," said Chu Pengzhan. "Don't worry about that. We kidnappers have our own rules. Seeing our professionalism, you should believe we're professionals," Zhen Yingjin said. "The account number is XXXXXX. Zhen Yingjin listed a series of accounts, and after Chu Pengzhan wrote them down, he verified them with him before hanging up. After the threats, Zhen Yingjin believed Chu Pengzhan wouldn't dare call the police. Given Ma Zhu's demonstrated strength, Chu Pengzhan would surely fear retaliation. Chu Pengzhan was now a powerful figure within Pengzhan Group, so no one dared to object when he mobilized the company's working capital. However, the total working capital only amounted to 210 million yuan, which of course meant sacrificing the company's future operations. Once this 210 million yuan was withdrawn, Pengzhan Group would be left with no working capital, a devastating blow to the company. But Chu Pengzhan couldn't afford to worry. He was concerned about his daughter's safety. Even if he resigned as chairman after this incident and sold his shares as compensation to shareholders, it would be fine. Although Lin Yi didn't understand business operations, he knew the devastating consequences of a company running out of working capital. So, when he saw Chu Pengzhan about to withdraw all the company's funds, Lin Yi said, "Uncle Chu, let me help you raise some money." "You?" Chu Pengzhan was slightly taken aback. He hadn't known about Lin Yi and Fatty Lie's company, and Chu Mengyao hadn't told him either. He simply assumed Lin Yi and Fatty Lie were close, and hadn't considered Lin Yi's role in Guan Shenyi's pharmaceutical company. How? Lin Yi pulled out his phone and called Fatty Lie. "Fatty Lie, how much cash do you have, boss?" "Cash? Why are you asking that all of a sudden? What's wrong?" "What happened?" Fatty Lie asked. "It's urgent," Lin Yi said. "In terms of cash, we can probably scrape together at most 30 or 40 million. The proceeds from the auction were all invested in purchasing production lines and building factories. Our products haven't even been released yet, so most of the funds are now pharmaceuticals piling up in the warehouse," Fatty Lie explained. 30 or 40 million? That's a little too little, Lin Yi sighed. He hadn't expected money to be so frivolous. Starting a pharmaceutical company actually required such a huge investment. Fatty Lie also wanted to be the best and largest pharmaceutical company, and he had purchased the most advanced production line available. This was because, unlike the Pengzhan Pharmaceutical Group, Guan Shenyi Pharmaceutical Company, in addition to trauma medication, would also be releasing more advanced medications like analgesics. If possible, they could also mass-produce the longevity and detoxification pills, which would require state-of-the-art equipment. So Fatty Lie simply went all in. According to current calculations, 30 or 40 million in working capital would be more than enough to successfully launch Guan Shenyi Pharmaceutical Company's first flagship product, the Guan Shenyi Trauma Medicine. Even 30 or 40 million wouldn't be necessary, as the previous #1 middle school student poisoning incident had already established Xuanyuan Pharmaceuticals' reputation, eliminating the need for advertising. Once the product was launched and sales soared, it could instantly generate profits exceeding 100 million yuan. Lin Yi knew that Fatty Lai was basing his plans entirely on the company's current situation and probably hadn't anticipated his sudden need for funds, so he didn't blame him. "Boss, how about I ask my brother for some money?" Fatty Lai, sensing Lin Yi's urgent need for funds, suggested. "No thanks," Lin Yi declined, knowing that Fatty Lai and his older brother had always had a good relationship. "Do you have Liu Xianai's phone number? Give it to me and I'll borrow some from him." "Yes, just a moment. His number is 139XXXXXXXX. Fatty Lai recited a number to Lin Yi. Lin Yi wrote down Liu Xianai's number and called him. Liu Xianai had written down Lin Yi's number, but Lin Yi hadn't. When Lin Yi called, Liu Xianai was startled. He hadn't expected Lin Yi to call him. As the young master of the Liu family, Liu Xianai naturally knew how important Lin Yi was to the family. He had tried every possible way to establish a relationship with Lin Yi, but he never had the chance. He and Lin Yi had previously had some disagreements, and their relationship wasn't particularly harmonious. Later, he offended Lin Yi over an incident involving his wife's nephew, Wu Chenshan, which further strained the relationship between the Liu family and Lin Yi. Fortunately, his humility and low profile helped to ease the tension somewhat. Liu Xianai was filled with regret. If it weren't for his wife, who was such a spendthrift, how could he have fallen out with Lin Yi? Seeing Lin Yi's longevity and detoxification pills become a hot auction item, and seeing his father, a dying old man, return to health, Liu Xianai felt even more deeply the importance of maintaining a good relationship with Lin Yi. He envied Lai Chang'ai. This fat man, Lai, was once just a small businessman with a modest business, but now he had become Lin Yi's underling, a truly impressive figure. Previously, Liu Xianai had been polite when speaking to Fatty Lai, but he had always taken the lead. But now, the two had switched positions, and both Liu Xianai and Fatty Lai had become cautious in their conversations. "There's nothing I can do, the boss is so awesome." However, Liu Xianai didn't feel it was a shame at all. Although there weren't many people trying to curry favor with Fatty Lai now, he believed that as Lin Yi's magic became known to noble families, those who couldn't get along with Lin Yi would try their best to get along with Fatty Lai. Chapter 891 The kidnapper changed his mind. Therefore, Liu Xianai thought very clearly that if he wanted to keep in touch with Lin Yi in the future, he could not cut off contact with Fatty Lai, especially when Fatty Lai was not very powerful now. If another few years passed, I am afraid that the Lai family would become the #1 family. However, Liu Xianai never expected that Lin Yi would take the initiative to call him. Liu Xianai took a deep breath and carefully answered the phone. Hello, I am Liu Xianai, Mr. Liu? This is Lin Yi. Can you lend me 100 million, Lin Yi said without any nonsense. If you can't pay it back, I will return you a pill or help your family treat an illness for free. Okay, it's just 100 million. If Dr. Lin needs it, just use it. What's the point of not paying it back? Isn't it tacky to mention it? Liu Xianai was just worrying about how to get in touch with Lin Yi, but Lin Yi called him to borrow money. Liu Xianai was so happy, how could he not agree? As for whether Lin Yi would pay back the money, that was secondary. Building a good relationship with Lin Yi was the most important goal. Thank you in advance. I'll text you an account number and you can transfer the money to me, Lin Yi said. Okay, no problem, Liu Xianai agreed hastily. These days, there aren't many people who beg others to lend them money, but Liu Xianai is definitely one of them. And he doesn't even want Lin Yi to pay him back. Lin Yi didn't say anything and just hung up the phone. Chu Pengzhan, however, widened his eyes and looked at Lin Yi with an incredible expression. He had also heard Lin Yi talking to Fatty Lai on the phone before. When he heard Lin Yi asking for Liu Xianai's number, Chu Pengzhan even thought he had misheard. Who is Liu Xianai? The young master of the Liu family, a prominent family in Yanjing. Lin Yi actually wanted to borrow money from him? Did he hear it wrong? However, after Lin Yi called Liu Xianai directly, Chu Pengzhan realized that what he had heard was the truth. Lin Yi had indeed borrowed 100 million yuan from Liu Xianai, and without a single word of argument, the other party seemed quite happy to lend Lin Yi the money. Uncle Chu, I borrowed 100 million yuan from Liu Xianyi. Please don't withdraw all the company's working capital, as that would affect its operations, Lin Yi said with a smile, looking at the astonished Chu Pengzhan. Liu Xianyi from the Yanjing Liu family, Chu Pengzhan still found it a little incredulous. It's him, Lin Yi nodded. Give me the account number and I'll have him transfer the funds. Chu Pengzhan took a deep breath. He hadn't expected Lin Yi to have such a powerful network in Songshan just how long? No wonder he had previously dismissed the Yu family and even dared to kill their members. It turned out that even when facing the young master of another aristocratic family, Lin Yi had lent him 100 million yuan with such calm and unquestionable tone, and the young master had actually been happy to lend it to him. With Liu Xianyi's 100 million yuan, Chu Pengzhan easily gathered the remaining 150 million yuan and transferred it to the account left by the kidnappers. About 10 minutes later, the kidnapper called again, still with the same number filled with zeros. Chu Pengzhan answered, "Hello, Mr. Chu's reputation is pretty good." The ransom arrived so quickly, Zhen Yingjin was excited. It turned out that the future of being a kidnapper was so bright. He had made 250 million in a short time. Even his father, working hard as a pirate, couldn't make that much money in a year. If he kidnapped a few more people in the future, wouldn't he soon have more money than he could spend? When can I see Ao and Xiaoshu? Chu Pengzhan was relieved to hear that the kidnapper had no intention of going back on his word. Since Mr. Chu is so straightforward, how could I let Chu down? I'll tell you the address. You can have Lin Yi pick them up, Zhen Yingjin said, but I hope Mr. Chu will remember my words and not call the police. Otherwise, you will bear the consequences, no problem. I just want my daughter and Xiaoshu to be safe, Chu Pengzhan said solemnly. There are 2 cars at the foot of Nanjing Mountain, a Mercedes-Benz 600 and a Toyota Previa. Just have someone follow the mountain road in front of the 2 cars, Zhen Yingjin said. Okay, I've got that. Chu Pengzhan knew Nanjing Mountain, but he didn't expect the kidnappers to take his daughter to such a desolate place. If the police were to search alone, it wouldn't be so easy to find her. Zhen Yingjin didn't say anything else and hung up the phone. He was just waiting for Lin Yi to come and give him a fatal blow, making him stay on Nanjing Mountain forever. The money was in hand, but the hatred between Zhen Yingjin and Lin Yi had not yet been resolved. How much had this guy done to him? He would make him pay back 10-fold or 100-fold. Nanjing Mountain, Xia, they specifically asked you to bring back Ao and Xiaoshu. Chu Pengzhan hesitated for a moment and said to Lin Yi, I've always felt they had some hidden agenda. Otherwise, why didn't they just release Ao and Xiaoshu instead of sending you? Oh, maybe they want to deal with me, Lin Yi said calmly. If my judgment is correct, I already know who did this. Who? Chu Pengzhan asked, taken aback. Zhen Yingjin, Lin Yi said, it can't be someone from the Yu family. From the looks of it, it can only be someone from the Zhen family. Zhen family? Donghe Zhen family? Zhen Dazhao? When did you end up provoking someone like that? Chu Pengzhan was slightly taken aback. He and Zhen Dazhao had no connection, let alone any grudges. Lin Yi briefly recounted what happened in the billiard room that day, noting Zhen Yingjin's desire for Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu, and how he dealt with him after leaving. Chu Pengzhan shook his head and could only smile wryly. He didn't blame Lin Yi, because strictly speaking, this incident was Chen Yashu's fault and had nothing to do with Lin Yi. Xiao Yi, what you're saying is, besides asking for money, they also want to deal with you. Chu Pengzhan pondered for a moment, his expression somewhat serious. That's probably the case. Although Xiaoshu asked me to do it, I was the one who carried it out after all. There's no guarantee that Zhen Yingjin won't take me to the core. I guess that expert is waiting for me up there in the mountains, Lin Yi shrugged. It's far from the city, so if something happens there, no one will notice. It's a perfect place to kill people, so, how could I let you take that risk? Chu Pengzhan shook his head after understanding the cause and effect. Although he was worried about his daughter's safety, he couldn't let Lin Yi go to die. Chapter 892 Separate Actions. This was clearly a trap. Now that he'd seen through it, how could he still fall into it? How, Uncle Chu, you're mistaking it. What I meant was, there's no one there, making it a perfect place for me to take them out, Lin Yi said with a casual laugh. Oh? Are you sure? Chu Pengzhan was taken aback by Lin Yi's words. Yes, Lin Yi nodded confidently. In reality, he wasn't. But he couldn't ignore Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu. He was only saying this to reassure Chu Pengzhan. Lin Yi could only take things one step at a time. Currently, there was no one in Songshan City who could lend a hand. With the other party possessing experts, Lin Yi could only bite the bullet and face the situation alone. That's good, Chu Pengzhan, unfazed, finally relieved by Lin Yi's confidence. I was worried you couldn't handle it, but I'm relieved now, haha. Without further ado, Uncle Chu, I'll be leaving now. Lin Yi said nothing more, rising and heading for the villa entrance. Woof woof, the mighty general barked twice behind Lin Yi. Lin Yi's steps as he walked out of the villa paused slightly. He suddenly smiled and waved to General Weiwu. Come with me, isn't this a ready-made helper? Who would have thought that a dog would actually be a high-level yellow-ranked dog? It's simply pretending to be a pig and eating the tiger by surprise. Even if Lin Yi took a dog to Nanjing Mountain, it did not violate Zhen Yingzhen's proposal that only Lin Yi could go alone. Because, the other one, was not a human, but a dog. General Weiwu excitedly wagged his tail and followed Lin Yi. Chu Pengzhan naturally didn't know that General Weiwu had turned into a high-level yellow-ranked dog, and thought that Lin Yi brought General Weiwu with him to make it easier to find someone. Just like the last time in Xuanyuan Mountain, Lin Yi also took General Weiwu with him, with the purpose of tracking Chu Mengyao's scent. Lin Yi got on Chen Yushu's yellow beetle, set the navigation to Nanjing Mountain, and the man and the dog rushed to Nanjing Mountain. Song Lingshan, with Lin Yi's refusal, naturally couldn't take any further action. Furthermore, the other party was clearly an expert, and Song Lingshan didn't know if her presence would be helpful or even a nuisance. Since Lin Yi said she wasn't needed, Song Lingshan could only wait anxiously at the police station. Fortunately, Chu Pengzhan didn't pressure the police through anyone this time. After returning, there was no news at all. Nanjing Mountain, this was Lin Yi's first time in this area. He hadn't known such a mountain existed near Songshan City. The foot of the mountain was desolate, with no houses or buildings. There were only fire warning signs and signs warning against climbing. Not far ahead on a mountain road, two cars were parked, the same ones Zhen Yingzhen had mentioned. Lin Yi got out, patted General Mighty's head, and said, "You and I will split up and act accordingly." Understand? General Mighty, now more knowledgeable about human nature after his upgrade, nodded, though it was unclear whether he truly understood. Even before it upgraded, Lin Yi had already felt this dog was no ordinary dog. Now, he felt its intelligence had reached a new level. This steep mountain path was no big deal for Lin Yi, let alone the mighty general. It didn't even take the path, instead hopping from tree to tree and rock to rock, quickly disappearing. Lin Yi reached the top of the mountain and spotted several people occupying the open space. One of them was Zhen Yingzhen. Beside him stood a middle-aged man in a white robe, towering like a pillar. Behind Zhen Yingzhen were two black-clad bodyguards. On the ground, to their left and right, lay Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu, both bound with ropes. Lin Yi breathed a sigh of relief, however, as the two appeared unharmed. "Lin Yi, you're finally here." Wahaha, Zhen Yingzhen was no fool. He had his men ambushed at the foot of the mountain, just to see if Lin Yi had come alone. It's best to be prepared for the worst. He was afraid Lin Yi might bring a police team with him, which would be troublesome. Although Zhen Yingzhen was arrogant and surrounded by experts, he couldn't let his musketeers engage in a shootout with the police. Would that be courting death? In that case, he would have to give up on killing Lin Yi and kill Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu to vent his anger. In the back of the mountain, Zhen Yingzhen had already prepared a helicopter. Even if the police surrounded the mountain, he could escape safely. The police would never have thought that he had a helicopter as a backup plan. By the time they sent for help, he would have been gone. Zhen Dazhao's musketeers were pirates, so how could they not have a seaplane helicopter as an escape vehicle? Zhen Yingzhen was well equipped, which was why he dared to wait for Lin Yi here. However, when Zhen Yingzhen received a report from his men at the foot of the mountain, he breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed he had been too cautious. Lin Yi had indeed come alone, without any reinforcements or police. As for the dog beside Lin Yi, Zhen Yingzhen automatically filtered it out. It was just a dog. What was there to worry about? "Oh, it's you, Zhen Yingzhen," Lin Yi shrugged. It seemed that his guess was correct. Things were indeed not that simple. His visit this time was probably a deliberate plan by Zhen Yingzhen, so Lin Yi was on full alert. "Oh? It seems you are quite smart. You actually guessed it was me." Zhen Yingzhen was slightly stunned, but then burst into laughter. Ho ha ho ha, since you guessed that I asked you to come, you actually dared to come alone. Are you stupid? Are you stupid? You are really stupid. It's no wonder that Zhen Yingjin was so happy. In his eyes, Lin Yi was simply a fool. Since he guessed that he was the one who kidnapped Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu, he dared to come to pick up the hostages, especially to come alone. If he was not a fool, then he must be extremely arrogant. Are you trying to say that I'm smart or stupid? There are contradictions in what you said. Lin Yi couldn't help laughing. Are you stupid or am I stupid? Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu were both here. Lin Yi made up his mind and began to think about countermeasures. Since he came to the top of the mountain, the jade pendant has been constantly warning, which means that there are many dangers on this mountain, and Lin Yi himself has no idea where the dangers are. However, sometimes, even though you know there are dangers, you still have to go ahead. The so-called knowing there is a tiger in the mountain and still going there is this reason. Chapter 893 A Sudden Change. HMPH, just a quick whip, Zhen Yingjin sneered. Lin Yi, I will return the humiliation you've inflicted upon me tenfold. With that, Zhen Yingjin gestured, and the warning signal on the jade pendant on Lin Yi's chest suddenly began to pulse. This position was dangerous. Lin Yi instinctively dodged, and a bullet narrowly missed him. It was a silenced pistol. The onslaught of bullets startled Lin Yi. He hadn't expected Zhen Yingjin to use a pistol against him. He had initially suspected that Zhen Yingjin might be relying on that expert to finish him off. However, a few mere bullets couldn't possibly hurt Lin Yi. Already on guard, Lin Yi naturally refused to let the bullets hit him. One bullet missed, and then a series of muffled bang, bang, and bang rang out, like beans popping out of a bamboo tube. Countless bullets blared towards Lin Yi. So many people? Lin Yi had never imagined Zhen Yingjin would be ambushing him with so many armed men. This was definitely a formidable foe. Although Zhen Yingjin seemed to be very arrogant and domineering, he was different from Zhong Pinliang and Zhao Kaibing. He actually knew how to use the sea of guns tactic. If Lin Yi had not broken through the Xuanyuan and still stayed in the late Huangji, it would be impossible for him to dodge so many bullets. However, Lin Yi had already advanced to the Xuanyuan, and relying on his previous agile skills and unique steps as a killer, he narrowly avoided the first round of bullets. Keep shooting. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Shoot him to death. Zhen Yingjin was furious when he saw that Lin Yi had narrowly avoided a round of bullets. You bunch of good-for-nothings, you can't kill one person with so many guns. Zhen Yingjin was still a long distance away from Lin Yi at this moment. He was not worried that Lin Yi would rush over, so he spoke very unscrupulously. After all, even if Lin Yi rushed over, he still had the Master Mazu by his side. Bang, bang, bang. The dull sound of gunfire rang out again, but this time, an accident occurred. Along with the muffled sound of the bullet, a scream was suddenly heard, and an ambushed gunman flew out from behind the rock where he was lying in ambush, fell to the ground, his body twitched twice, a trickle of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth, and he could not move. The sudden change made everyone present dumbfounded for a moment. Zhen Yingjin was dumbfounded, Mazu was dumbfounded, and the two bodyguards in black were also dumbfounded. And those ambushing gunmen were also dumbfounded. They never thought that their companions who were lying in ambush and shooting before would suddenly become flying men, and flew out from behind the rock with a whoosh as if there was a spring under their buttocks, and fell to the ground, their life or death unknown. However, just when they were wondering what happened, the accident happened again. Ouch! Another scream echoed. Another member of the ambushed musketeers, fulfilling his dream of pretending to be Superman, was sent flying with a whoosh, hitting the ground. This time, without even a twitch, he passed out, his life or death unknown. What's going on? What's going on? Lin Yi, did you bring anyone with you? Zhen Yingjin's face suddenly showed a look of alarm. Even the most clueless person knew something had happened, and this accident was definitely related to Lin Yi. No, Lin Yi shook his head. I really didn't bring anyone with me. You told me to come alone. So I did. This, Zhen Yingjin was taken aback by Lin Yi's certainty. It wasn't that he didn't believe Lin Yi. After all, whether Lin Yi admitted he brought anyone with him was irrelevant. The two sides had already started fighting, and there was no reason for Lin Yi to lie to him. But Lin Yi insisted that he didn't bring anyone with him, which puzzled Zhen Yingjin. Just as Zhen Yingjin was wondering, another member of the ambushed musketeers transformed into a flying figure, flew out with a whoosh, and lay dead on the ground. The enemy has helpers who don't seem to be human. Ma Zu frowned and said word by word. He is an external martial arts master, and is good at attacking and defending, but his eyesight is not very good. He only expressed his judgment based on the current signs. Zhen Xiao, should we retreat to the back first? It's a bit dangerous here, a black-clad bodyguard next to Zhen Yingjin suggested carefully. Okay, Zhen Yingjin was also a little scared. He didn't dare to stand in front and pretend to be cool. Instead, he retreated behind Chu Mengyao and Chen Yusu, using them as shields. Chu Mengyao and Chen Yusu were actually very excited to see Lin Yi coming to rescue them. Although Chu Mengyao felt that it must be very dangerous for Lin Yi to come here, when she saw Lin Yi appear here, she suddenly felt a sense of peace. That feeling was like finding her own support, and she suddenly lost her previous fear and tension. This feeling is very good and warm. However, Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu were unaware that Zhen Yingjin had ambushed gunmen nearby. They had only just been brought out of the cave before Lin Yi arrived, so when the ping-pong sounds of gunfire rang out all around them, Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu were a bit stunned. They even forgot to shout, forgetting that they were in danger themselves, and stared at Lin Yi nervously. They wanted Lin Yi to be careful, but they were also afraid that he would be distracted, so the two sisters tacitly chose silence. When they saw Lin Yi successfully dodge the bullets, Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that Lin Yi was quite formidable. Did the fool Zhen Yingjin think he could kill Lin Yi with a gun? It was impossible. Later, Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu watched as members of Zhen Yingjin's musketeers flew out of their hiding places one by one and fell to the ground dead. They were as surprised as Zhen Yingjin, but then a strange look flashed in Chu Mengyao's eyes. Xiao Shu, it seems to be General Weiwu, Chu Mengyao said to Chen Yashu in a low voice, somewhat uncertainly. Oh, Chen Yashu rubbed his eyes in disbelief after hearing Chu Mengyao's words. Oh my god, it's true that those who are close to vermilion will be red, and those who are close to ink will be black. General Weiwu has been with Brother Arrow for a long time, and he has become so powerful, almost like an arrow dog. Of course, their words were not heard by Zhen Yingjin. Zhen Yingjin was so scared that he didn't have the mind to eavesdrop on Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu's conversation. What was happening in front of him was a bit too weird. Lin Yi clearly came up alone. This was told to him by his subordinate, and that subordinate was still staying at the foot of the mountain. Apart from Lin Yi, no one else came up. But how did his subordinates die? Chapter 894, The Mighty General. Whoosh, another musketeer flew out, falling dead to the ground. This scene was too horrific, completely without warning. The deaths of one musketeer after another finally struck fear into the musketeers' hearts. They were pirates, living on the edge of life, their lives hanging by a thread. They weren't afraid of death, but they were terrified of such an inexplicable death. What on earth was going on? Lin Yi still stood there, unmoved, while several of his men had already died. So, the musketeers went wild, firing wildly at Lin Yi. They believed Lin Yi was responsible, and if they could kill him, everything would be solved. Bang, 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 the gunfire rang out, but still, men flew out of their hiding places and died. Wow! Shoot him! Shoot him! Zhen Yingjin roared in exasperation. What the hell, Lin Yi, what the hell did you do? Lin Yi sneered. Musketeers? Just wait for your death. Since you are lying in ambush here, you should be prepared for death. However, although Lin Yi was somewhat disdainful of these musketeers, he did not let down his guard. Now these people were completely crazy and started shooting randomly. Some people started shooting everywhere for a fear that the curse of death would find them. While Lin Yi dodged the bullets, he quickly moved towards Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu. He was afraid that these people would hurt the two girls in their madness. I will fight you to the death. Zhang Wuxian was a small leader in the musket team, but he was about to collapse completely. Seeing his companions die one by one, he didn't know what to do. Especially his younger brother Zhang Wu just flew out and died. Zhang Wuxian was completely crazy. He didn't care about hiding his body. He jumped out of the ambush and started shooting randomly with a gun. His mind was already insane. He could no longer distinguish between friend and foe, and even shot in the direction of Zhen Yingjin. Zhen Yingjin was horrified and quickly hid behind Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu. As Zhang Wuxian's gun fired, Lin Yi's brow furrowed, and without a care in the world, he sprinted towards them. Zhang Wuxian's shot was aimed directly at Chu Mengyao, and given his current angle, it was certain she'd hide him. Lin Yi didn't have time to warn her, as her hands and feet were bound, making escape impossible. Lin Yi gritted his teeth and leaped in front of Chu Mengyao. Almost instantly, a bullet lodged itself in Lin Yi's thigh. Shit. Lin Yi sweat dropped. Why was it in the same spot again? Last time in the bank, he'd been shot in the thigh by a gangster. He'd been embarrassed when he went to the hospital to have the bullet removed. He hadn't expected it to be in the same spot again this time. Ah, Chu Mengyao screamed. She realized Lin Yi had been shot. Did he take a bullet for himself? Last time, at the bank, Lin Yi, it was the same Lin Yi, and he was shot next to the young lady, but Chu Mengyao didn't feel anything special at the time. But now, why is her heart so painful? Chu Mengyao felt that the bullet seemed to hide her heart, making her feel very distressed. Lin Yi, how are you? Chu Mengyao wanted to reach out and touch Lin Yi's injuries, but her hands and feet were tied, making her unable to move. How touching, Sister Yao. Brother Arrow took the bullet for you. When you go back, you must commit yourself to him, Chen Yushu said with emotion. What do you mean by pledge yourself? It's such a time. And you're still talking about this nonsense? Didn't you see Lin Yi got shot? Chu Mengyao was instantly amused and confused upon hearing Chen Yushu's words. She couldn't tell if she was deliberately avoiding the question, or if she was worried about Lin Yi's injuries. She didn't want to discuss the question of pledge or not. But in her heart, Chu Mengyao wondered, Lin Yi, if he really asked her to pledge herself to him, would she give it to him? Would she? It seemed like she would. How could it be possible? Oh, Brother Arrow is a doctor. This minor injury is nothing. Chen Yushu remained calm. Seeing that Lin Yi was still standing and appeared fine, not even groaning after being shot, she knew he was fine. Lin Yi was indeed fine, it was just a bullet. Chen Yushu was right. Lin Yi was a doctor. In the instant he blocked the bullet, he had already chosen his position, avoiding bones and arteries. Therefore, the bullet had only lodged in the muscle, and it wouldn't matter if he didn't remove it for the time being. Otherwise, after being shot last time, Lin Yi would not have followed the gangsters into the car and even snatched their guns on the way. However, Lin Yi didn't think about the injuries on his body at the moment. Instead, he quickly shook his right hand and a silver needle was grasped between his fingers. This Zhang Wuxian has gone crazy. Lin Yi must get rid of this man as soon as possible. Lin Yi didn't expect that Zhen Yingjin's men had such poor psychological quality. They were scared to death. In fact, it's not that the people in the musket team have poor psychological quality. They kill and rob at sea all day long. Their courage has long been trained to be bigger than basketball. It's just that the situation today is too weird. They are not afraid of being hacked to death by knives or shot in the head by people. But this kind of flying man style of death is the first time they have seen it. It's too scary. Lin Yi was just about to kill Zhang Wuxian when, unexpectedly, General Weiwu leaped out before the needle could even fire. He nimbly leaped behind Zhang Wuxian, his forelegs landing on his back. Zhang Wuxian, like his companions, flew out with a whoosh and fell to the ground, dead on the spot. Sister Yao, General Weiwu is so awesome. Although Chen Yushu already knew that General Weiwu had killed the musketeers, she was still stunned to see him do it with her own eyes. Chu Mengyao's eyes widened as she stared at General Weiwu, whom she had raised for 10 years. Was this even possible? How could she not have realized that General Weiwu had such a powerful side? It seemed like something had changed since Lin Yi healed him from his last injury. Zhen Yingjin finally understood how his men had died. Kicked to death by a dog? Wasn't this world too crazy? Yellow ranked dog. A look of shock crossed Ma Zhu's face. Chapter 895 Your opponent is me. Ma Zhu was a renowned master, but he'd never heard of a dog cultivating, even reaching the yellow rank. Was this even a dog? The remaining musketeers finally realized what had attacked them. They simultaneously shifted their rifles from Lin Yi to General Mighty. However, General Mighty was a smaller target than Lin Yi, leaping left and right to get behind another musketeer. Before the musketeer could react, he was tragically shot to death by his comrades. Before he died, he couldn't understand why he wasn't killed by a dog's kick, but by his comrades' beatings instead. Did they mistake him for a dog? General Mighty followed suit, leaping left and right with remarkable agility. Several more musketeers were killed by their comrades' guns, and those who survived were also killed by General Mighty's kicks. Master Ma, kill that dog. Kill it now, Zhen Yingjin screamed in horror. He could never have imagined that a dog could be so powerful and could kick someone to death. Ma Zu nodded and took a step forward, ready to kill the mighty general, but Lin Yi stepped in front of Ma Zu first. "Your opponent is me," Lin Yi looked at Ma Zu and said lightly. He couldn't see Ma Zu's strength. The strength of external masters is not judged by the amount of energy. They improve their realm through physical training. Lin Yi couldn't know the strength of his body. "Get out of the way, you are not my opponent," Ma Zu glanced at Lin Yi and said with some disdain. "Is it true? We'll know if we try," Lin Yi smiled. "Perhaps you're right. I'm no match for you, but when I'm fighting monsters above my level, I can occasionally land a critical hit." "What critical hit? What about fighting monsters above my level?" Ma Zu clearly didn't understand Lin Yi's words. "Since you want to die first, then I'll grant your wish." Ma Zu was annoyed. He knew the members of the Musketeers were just as important to the boss. Although they worked for the Zhen father and son, the majority of their earnings went into the boss's pocket every year. So Ma Zu wanted to kill the mighty general first, to prevent it from continuing to jump around and kill people, but Lin Yi wouldn't give him the chance. A surge of rage surged in Ma Zu, but he also knew that saving the Musketeers was impossible. Ma Zu stared at Lin Yi, a cold glint in his eyes. Since he couldn't save the Musketeers, he might as well take Lin Yi's life. In an instant, Ma Zu's aura reached its peak, but the aura of an external martial arts master was ultimately much weaker than that of an internal martial arts master. Lin Yi's energy was unleashed at that moment. His aura, at the peak of the early Xuan level, was surprisingly stronger than that of Ma Zu, an external martial arts expert at the peak of the mid-level Xuan level. Mid-level Xuan level peak? Lin Yi knew he couldn't play the pig to eat the tiger today. The opponent's strength was a level higher than his. How could he play the pig to eat the tiger? While internal martial arts masters were always stronger than external martial arts masters of the same level, that only applied to the same level. Even an internal martial arts master at the peak of the early Xuan level would struggle against an external martial arts master at the mid-level Xuan level. The two could only be said to be evenly matched. However, if an internal martial arts master at the peak of the early Xuan level faced an external martial arts master at the mid-level Xuan level, the chances of victory were even slimmer. This was Lin Yi's current situation. Lin Yi had never encountered a master so much stronger than himself. His expression was solemn as he stared at Ma Zu, his entire body in a state of combat. Peak of the early Xuan level, Ma Zu was surprised by Lin Yi's strength. "Although I'm stronger than that old man Li Fu, it's no use. Today, you're dead." Ma Zu moved, stomping his feet hard on the ground and delivering a powerful blow to Lin Yi's chest. He focused on defense before attacking, so there were basically no tricks involved. He was going all out, completely exposing all his vital weaknesses, yet he paid no heed. Lin Yi's face darkened. He didn't dare to take a direct blow from a peak mid-Xuan level external martial arts master. Ma Zu's stance also puzzled Lin Yi. What kind of fighting style was this? He was completely reckless, focusing solely on attacking, without even protecting the vital acupoints on his body. Wasn't he afraid of a sneak attack? However, until Lin Yi understood Ma Zu's strategy, he didn't dare to move. As Ma Zu's palms approached, Lin Yi quickly retreated, barely dodging Ma Zu's blow. "Coward," Ma Zu sneered at Lin Yi's apparent evasion. His towering figure suddenly transformed into a dark shadow, charging towards him. As befitting a peak-level mid-stage one-level external martial arts expert, the gust of wind he unleashed was already stinging Lin Yi's face before Ma Zu even reached him. Lin Yi frowned. Simply dodging wasn't an option, but he didn't dare confront Ma Zu head-on. Ma Zu's strength had already been proven against Uncle Fu, and Lin Yi's mind raced, pondering a countermeasure. "Prepare for death," Ma Zu, delighted at Lin Yi's retreat, roared, his palms morphing into fists, and he struck out at Lin Yi once more. He couldn't hide any longer. Lin Yi knew dodging wasn't the answer, so this time, he stood still, as if waiting for Ma Zu to take his punch. A sneer crossed Ma Zu's lips, as if he had already seen Lin Yi reduced to pulp by his beating. "He wasn't afraid of you not attacking, but of you hiding." Ma Zu was a man of his own business. He wasn't afraid of Lin Yi's sneak attack, but rather of him playing hide-and-seek with him. He had already reached the 8th level of the Golden Bell cover, forged with ironclad tendons. Ordinary means were powerless against him unless his weak spot could be found and broken. But how could ordinary people find a weak spot? Not even his boss knew Ma Zu's weak spot, let alone Lin Yi. Ma Zu wouldn't dare overdo it with a higher-level expert, but he wasn't afraid of Lin Yi, a foe one level below him, no matter how hard he tried. Whether it was internal or external martial arts, unless he was extremely powerful, it was impossible for him to inflict any harm on Ma Zu. Of course, Lin Yi didn't know Ma Zu was a golden bell cover practitioner. If he had known, he wouldn't have taken such a risk. Just as Ma Zu's fist was about to hit Lin Yi moved. Lin Yi suddenly jumped up, his body like an arrow shot from a string, suddenly leaping over Ma Zu's head and coming behind him. Chapter 896 Dilemma. Ma Zu was powerful, but not as fast. This was the conclusion Lin Yi came to after observing Ma Zu's two attacks. King Gong was one of Lin Yi's strengths, so Lin Yi planned to eliminate Ma Zu with a sneak attack. A head-on confrontation? That was just a trick to trick Ma Zu. If he really went head-to-head with Ma Zu, Lin Yi would be courting death. Haha, die? Ma Zu was gloating, thinking his fists were about to strike Lin Yi, but suddenly he realized that Lin Yi had vanished from his sight. Ma Zu was stunned. Huh? Where's he? Here, Lin Yi said, and with a loud bang, Lin Yi's fist struck Ma Zu's back. With these two punches, Lin Yi had used all his strength, unreservedly exerting his full power, aiming to inflict a severe blow on Ma Zu. If Ma Zu were an Earth-level master, Lin Yi's blows would at most cause a minor injury. However, the difference in strength between them was only one level. Even if Lin Yi's full strength couldn't kill Ma Zu, he would likely injure him severely. This was Lin Yi's strategy: give Ma Zu a few more sneak attacks, and he'd be dead. Even though he was powerful, wouldn't it be enough to avoid a head-on confrontation? Master once said, if your enemy is stronger than you, avoid their attack and surprise them with a sneak attack. Jianghu rules are nothing to a killer. A killer's ultimate goal is to kill, not to follow Jianghu rules. Lin Yi's fist slammed heavily into Ma Zu's back, but his expression instantly darkened. It felt like his fists were hitting an iron plate, as if they weren't hitting a human body at all. Furthermore, the recoil from the iron plate shook Lin Yi to the bone. A mouthful of blood spurted from Lin Yi's mouth. Evidently some of the force he had previously used had rebounded back onto him. Despite his surprise, Lin Yi didn't stop. After landing the blow, he quickly retreated. Sure enough, the moment Lin Yi dodged, Ma Zu swung his fist and turned to hide him, but missed. Boy, you're pretty fast. Ha 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 ha, Ma Zu laughed. How is it? You must be feeling great now? Tisk tisk, you're spitting blood. It seems that the power of your punch was not small. You didn't expect that you would suffer the consequences, right? Ho ha ho ha. Lin Yi looked at Ma Zu in horror, frowning in disbelief. At this moment, Ma Zu didn't look injured at all. From the look of him, it seemed as if the two punches he had hit before were not meant for him. You're not hurt. Lin Yi took a deep breath and steadied himself. He smiled bitterly in his heart, thinking that he had lost more than he gained. Most of the force that hit Ma Zu was returned to him. It's okay to tell you, I've already reached the 8th level of my golden bell cover, Ma Zu sneered at Lin Yi. I'm not afraid of you hitting me. If I hit you, you'll die. How is that? It's fun, right? Wah-ho-ha-ho-ha. What can you do? The 8th level of the golden bell cover. No wonder, Lin Yi suddenly realized. No wonder Ma Zu wasn't hurt after he hit him, while he was injured. He was a master of the golden bell cover. There weren't many such practitioners, because mastering the golden bell cover is a very arduous process. It requires toil and harden one's mind, enduring countless pains. Without a strong mind, it's impossible to achieve the desired result. Zhen Yingjin saw Lin Yi being defeated and even vomiting blood, and he cheered with joy. Master Ma is mighty, Master Ma is awesome, kill this kid. Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashi were almost breathless at that moment. In their hearts, Lin Yi had always been invincible, but now Lin Yi was vomiting blood. Moreover, the blood he vomited was when Lin Yi was attacking others, not when he was attacked by others. This is a bit strange. However, although Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashi were surprised, they also knew that Ma Zu must be more powerful than Lin Yi. Because, Ma Zu didn't seem to be injured at all. Lin Yi, Chu Mengyao felt a little sorry when she saw Lin Yi injured. There was a gunshot wound on his leg. Chu Mengyao knew that if Lin Yi hadn't come to save her, he would definitely not be injured, and he wouldn't have to fight Ma Zu. Why did he protect himself like this? Just because of the 30,000 yuan salary? He didn't need to do this at all. How? Lin Yi smiled at the young lady, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and said, wait until I beat him to death, then I'll take you home. In an instant, Chu Mengyao eyes moistened, and tears welled up. He was always so good to her. Yes, Chu Mengyao nodded vigorously. Let's go home together. Beat me to death? How ridiculous. Ma Zu sneered at Lin Yi's words. I'm standing here for you to hit me. Can you beat me to death? Lin Yi looked at Ma Zu warily, thinking about his countermeasures. It can be said that Ma Zu is the most formidable opponent Lin Yi has encountered since arriving in Songshan City. Not only is his strength one level higher than his, but he has also cultivated a golden bell cover, which means that all attacks are ineffective against him. Unless he can be stronger than Ma Zu, otherwise, he is simply no match for him. What to do? Lin Yi was caught in a dilemma. In the past, when carrying out missions, Lin Yi had always followed the principle of running away if he couldn't win, and he didn't feel any psychological burden, because his master once said, if you keep the Green Mountains, you'll never worry about having no firewood to burn. But today, Lin Yi couldn't leave. If he left, what would happen to Miss and Xiaoshu? Could Lin Yi just leave them alone? Lin Yi couldn't. Lin Yi believed that if he just walked away, with Ma Zhu's arrogant personality, he would definitely not let Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu go again. And there was no telling what Zhen Yingjin would do. Lin Yi silently activated the Xuanyuan Yulong Jue in his mind, repairing his recent internal injuries, but because he hadn't entered the Jade Pendant space, the effect was minimal. What? You don't want to fight? If you don't, I'll hit you. Ma Zu laughed and attacked Lin Yi again. Before Ma Zu could get close, Lin Yi easily moved away again, but his eyes were filled with anxiety. This was not a solution. He couldn't keep fighting with Ma Zu forever, could he? However, apart from relying on his nimble body to dodge Ma Zu's attacks, Lin Yi really didn't know what to do. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 897, Poisoned. It was unlikely that Ma Zu would kill him, but defeating Ma Zu was even more impossible. Lin Yi didn't even dare to attack Ma Zu now. If he did, it would be useless and would only rebound upon him. Ma Zu saw Lin Yi dodging and evading, but he wasn't annoyed. He simply sneered, jumping up and down. What's the difference between you and that dog? Just keep jumping. Meanwhile, General Weiwu had already successfully eliminated all the members of the Musketeers and came running over, tail wagging, wanting to help Lin Yi. Go protect Yao Yao and Xiaoshu. You can't handle this, Lin Yi ordered General Weiwu. Lin Yi couldn't even do anything to Ma Zu here, let alone General Weiwu. After hearing what Lin Yi said, General Weiwu quickly came to Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu and bit the ropes on them with his teeth. Lin Yi glanced at Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu, and was relieved to see that the ropes on them were all untied. Taking advantage of the opportunity to avoid Ma Zu, he shouted to Chu Mengyao, Yao Yao, you, Xiaoshu and General Weiwu should leave here first, but Lin Yi, you? Chu Mengyao was worried about Lin Yi. How could she leave without him? You go first. If you leave, I can run away at any time. Lin Yi was a little anxious. After dealing with Ma Zu for so long, he was still at a loss. They dare, Ma Zu said confidently. If they dare to leave here, I will kill them first. You can dodge my attack, but them, ha 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 ha. Lin Yi frowned after hearing what Ma Zu said, and could only give up the idea of letting Chu Mengyao go first. Ma Zu wasn't stupid. He knew there was no point in fighting Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu after they left. He would only stay if they stayed. But Lin Yi was helpless. Ma Zu was right. He could easily withdraw and finish off Chu Mengyao and Chen Yashu now, because they weren't afraid of his sneak attack and he couldn't do anything to them. We'll wait for you, let's go home together. Chu Mengyao breathed a sigh of relief after hearing Ma Zu's words. She hadn't wanted to leave first. Now that she couldn't leave, she felt relieved. Come on, brother Arrow. Beat that big idiot to death, Chen Yashu shouted. HMPH, Ma Zu snorted, not wanting to argue with the two little girls. His only goal now was to finish Lin Yi off. Boy, let's see if you survive this. Whoa, Lin Yi dodged Ma Zu's attack again, but it was incredibly dangerous, and he was almost hit by Ma Zu. What was going on? Why were his reactions so slow? Had he completely exhausted himself? Impossible. He'd barely reached the end of his rope. He'd run tens of thousands of meters without breaking a sweat, and he'd just dodged Ma Zhu's attacks several times. How could he possibly be completely exhausted? Crack! Ma Zhu's palm scraped Lin Yi's left shoulder, sending a piercing pain through his entire shoulder. Instantly, Lin Yi saw his shoulder swell up. If he wasn't mistaken, Ma Zhu had fractured it. Lin Yi looked at Ma Zhu in surprise. What was going on? Why had his movements become so slow? He'd actually been hit by Ma Zhu. What on earth was going on? How was it? Did it feel good? It just didn't hit you hard. But it doesn't matter. I have plenty of patience. I'll slowly wear you down. Ma Zhu looked at Lin Yi's swollen shoulder, a sinister smile on his face. Feeling great, right? Lin Yi frowned, feeling his steps grow heavier. Lin Yi had always been confident in his Qingguang and physical strength, but now, not only had his Qingguang deteriorated significantly, but his physical strength was also showing signs of exhaustion. Lin Yi secretly thought that this was not good. If he continued like this, he would probably die. Lin Yi quickly activated the internal energy of the Xuanyuan Yulong Jue, checking his injuries and other injuries. Suddenly, Lin Yi discovered something wrong in his body. Poison. He was actually poisoned. Lin Yi's face suddenly turned very bad, and he thought of a possibility. Was the bullet poisoned before? Poison? Ma Zhu was slightly stunned. Obviously he was unaware of it. Ha 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 ha! Zhen Yingjin burst into laughter after hearing Lin Yi's words. I thought you weren't afraid of the poison. It hasn't taken effect for so long. I thought this poison had no effect on cultivators like you. It turns out it's just been delayed. I was wondering how you got so stupid. It turns out the poison has taken effect. Ho ha ho ha, it's poisonous indeed. Lin Yi gritted his teeth, breathing rapidly. He hadn't expected Zhen Yingjin to be so treacherous as to coat the bullets with poison. Master Ma, the poison has taken effect on this kid. Kill him. Zhen Yingjin didn't think there was anything wrong with his actions. In his opinion, killing Lin Yi was his primary goal. Moreover, he felt incredibly wise. If Lin Yi hadn't been poisoned, Ma Zhu wouldn't have been able to do anything to him with his jumping around. Although Ma Zhu was powerful, Lin Yi's Qingguang was so good that he couldn't do anything to him for a while. But now that Lin Yi was poisoned and his movements had slowed down, he felt that Lin Yi's death was only a matter of time. Ma Zhu nodded. Although he felt somewhat disgusted by the idea of poisoning, the sight of this guy jumping around in front of him and dodging every attack was truly irritating. So, it was a good thing Lin Yi was poisoned. Was he going to die here today? Lin Yi gritted his teeth, looked at the young lady, then at Chen Yushu. If he ran now, Lin Yi believed that with Ma Zhu's speed, he wouldn't be able to catch up. But what about the young lady? But if he didn't leave, would Ma Zhu let the young lady go after killing him? Probably, right? Otherwise, if Zhen Yingjin wanted to kill Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu, they would already be dead before he arrived. But Zhen Yingjin didn't do that, which meant he only wanted to kill himself and didn't want to deal with Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu. If he died, the turmoil caused by Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu would be far less than that caused by his own death. In Zhen Yingjin's view, he was just a follower of Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu. If a follower died, it would be fine. But if Chu Pengzhan's daughter died, the matter would probably become a big deal. Thinking of this, Lin Yi felt relieved. Boy, don't think about those useless things. Not to mention that you have been poisoned. Even if you are not poisoned, you are not my opponent. Ma Zhu looked at Lin Yi and said lightly. Chapter 898 Learn to take care of yourself. My golden bell cover is impervious, unless you're at a higher level than me. You've already reached the peak of the early Zhuan stage at such a young age. Wow, what a genius. Perhaps in a few years you'll surpass me, but I'm afraid you won't see that day. This day next year will be the anniversary of your death, higher and higher. Suddenly, a possibility flashed through Lin Yi's mind. Wait? Lin Yi suddenly smiled, looking at Ma Zhu, a smile that was somewhat eerie. He couldn't escape today, so if he died, he'd take someone with him. Yao Yao, Zia Oshu. Lin Yi turned and looked at Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu. Huh? Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu also noticed something strange about Lin Yi's smile and wondered what he was going to do. Learn to take good care of yourself from now on, Lin Yi said with a smile. Chu Mengyao and Chen Yushu were stunned, wondering why Lin Yi suddenly said such a thing at this moment. However, Lin Yi didn't explain. The next moment, Lin Yi raised his head and looked at Ma Zhu. It was really funny. He had been looking for Ma Zhu's flaws, but he couldn't find any. He didn't expect that Ma Zhu would reveal his weakness in the end. What are you laughing at? Mazu was stunned. Lin Yi's smile made him feel creepy. Wahahaha, Master Ma, this kid was just explaining his last wishes. Zhen Yingjin suddenly laughed. He was the first to understand the meaning of Lin Yi's previous words. After being reminded by Zhen Yingjin, Chu Mengyao and Shen Yashu also understood immediately. Lin Yi, is he explaining his last wishes? Lin Yi, go. Don't worry about us, go away, Chu Mengyao almost shouted at Lin Yi madly. However, Lin Yi turned a deaf ear to him. He had a weird smile on his face, and his hands were in a very weird posture. Tears had blurred Chu Mengyao's eyes. She didn't expect Lin Yi to die for her Enzai Oshu. The young lady screamed at Lin Yi at the top of her lungs, "You idiot! I gave you 30,000 yuan and you're going to die. No wonder Zhen Yingjin called you a fool, you big fool." Chen Yushu clutched Chu Mengyao's hand tightly, silent. Although she was usually carefree, she was now filled with anxiety. HMPH, it seems you've come to your senses, Mazu laughed. Go and die without worry. We won't touch those two little girls. We'll get them away safely. Lin Yi remained silent, his hands still moving in strange movements. No one could tell what he was doing. What? What do you mean? You want to perform a heroic act before you die? Mazu looked at Lin Yi with some confusion, his words dripping with impatience. Lin Yi had already extinguished all his previous patience. He couldn't wait to kill Lin Yi. If you die, you'll have to die in style. I'm going to make my move. Lin Yi's smile faded, and he began to walk towards Mazu. Make a move? Alright, since you want to make a move, that's no problem. Mazu was not afraid of Lin Yi's move. As a master of the 8th level of the Golden Bell, he didn't take Lin Yi seriously at all. Lin Yi's movement suddenly accelerated, and he rushed towards Mazu, but his hands still maintained the weird posture as before. Mazu's mouth crossed a trace of teasing. You've played too much Street Fighter, right? But I have to say, this move before you died looked pretty gorgeous. As he said that, Mazu swung out his right fist, ready to take on Lin Yi's weird move. Gorgeous, maybe, but there's more gorgeous stuff to come. Lin Yi's mouth crossed a trace of determination, and he suddenly put his hands together and pushed them out, which looked quite like a move in Street Fighter. Gaga Mazu's fist was about to hit Lin Yi's palms, and he was about to hit Lin Yi. But at that moment, something unexpected happened. A resounding boom, like a detonator exploding, suddenly erupted between Mazu and Lin Yi. Following this earth-shattering, ghostly roar, a powerful heat wave sent Lin Yi flying backwards. The deafening explosion echoed throughout the valley, terrifying Zhen Yingjin. Chu Mengyao and Shen Yashu were also speechless from the shock. The aftermath of the explosion scorched Chu Mengyao and Shen Yashu, who were far away, and knocked Zhen Yingjin off his feet. Although the mighty general was better off than the other three, he stared blankly at the direction of the explosion. Dust billowed from where Lin Yi and Mazu had stood, filling the air with flying sand and rocks. For a moment, it was impossible to see what was happening. The devastating energy shook the entire mountain. No one knew what had happened. Zhen Yingjin stared at the explosion with his mouth agape, hoping it was the shock of Mazu's annihilation of Lin Yi. But for some reason, Zhen Yingjin felt a nagging sense of unease. He felt as if something was amiss. Mazu, could he have caused such a commotion? But if it wasn't Mazu, could it have been Lin Yi? That was even more impossible, right? Sister Yao, where's Brother Arrow? Is he okay? Chen Yushu stared blankly at the explosion site, a hint of sadness in her voice. Chu Mengyao remained silent, her heart swirling with emotion. Did it happen? Did it finally happen? Did Lin Yi perish alongside his opponent? This was the only thought Chu Mengyao could think of. Lin Yi's words from earlier seemed to still ring in her ears, telling them to learn to take care of themselves in the future. And then, they vanished into thin air? No. Chu Mengyao couldn't accept the reality before her. Lin Yi couldn't die. However, at this moment, Chu Mengyao lost her voice. She didn't know what to say, nor did she know what she could say. Things had already exceeded her expectations. She had never experienced such a life and death separation before. At this moment, the young lady's fragile heart was broken. The flying sand and rocks in the sky finally dissipated slowly, and the dust in the air became lighter and lighter. Among the scattered rocks, a figure stood upright. Although he was not tall, his whole body exuded a fierce momentum. His shirt had been completely torn to pieces, and his naked upper body was covered with bloodstains, which was shocking. It seemed that a gust of wind could blow him down, but when the breeze blew, this figure still stood tall. Brother Arrow, Chen Yushu was the first to scream, cheering loudly, "Sister Yao Yao, Brother Arrow is not dead." Chapter 899 Energy Bomb. How? Chu Mengyao laughed at the sight of the disheveled figure. HMPH, if I had known this guy wouldn't die. He'd just lied. Oh, Sister Yao Yao, you're saying one thing and thinking another. You were so nervous just now. Chen Yushu immediately exposed Chu Mengyao's lie. Chu Mengyao glared at Chen Yushu, ignoring her. Zhen Yingjin was stunned. Where was Ma Zhu? Where had he gone? A master of the Golden Bell cover, a mid-stage 1-level peak strength, how could he suddenly disappear? Zhen Yingjin's eyes widened at the thought, and he searched the area. But besides Lin Yi, who was standing, there was no sign of Ma Zhu. After a long while, another figure emerged from the rubble. It was Ma Zhu, but now he looked terrifying. Half of his arm was completely gone, his ribs completely collapsed. His right side was reduced to a pile of rotten flesh, and even the right side of his face was unrecognizable. If there weren't no one else here, no one would have recognized him as Ma Zhu. Blood streamed from his wounds, and the faint traces of bones were barely visible. Oh my god. This is incredible. This guy was blown up like this, and he's still alive. Chen Yushu marveled in amazement at Ma Zhu's tenacious vitality. Ma Zhu's eyes were filled with horror, his previous arrogance gone. He couldn't believe he was actually injured, and so seriously injured. It was truly tragic. How could this be possible? He was an external martial arts master at the 8th level of the Golden Bell, at the peak of the middle stage of the Xuan realm. How could Lin Yi, an internal martial arts master at the peak of the early stage of the Xuan realm, hurt him? Ma Zhu could boast without exaggeration that ordinary bullets couldn't reach him, but now he was injured, and seriously so. The entire right side of his body was blown away, his right arm was gone, even his entire shoulder. The right side of his face was a bloody mess, and his right leg was just a skeleton. He was barely able to stand up now. Impossible, impossible, this isn't true. You can't hurt me. Ma Zhu didn't believe this. He really didn't. Idiot, Lin Yi said, giving Ma Zhu a cold look. I told you I was going to unleash my ultimate move, and you didn't dodge or evade. Do you think you have a lot of health? Impossible, impossible. Ma Zhu went a little crazy. He couldn't accept the reality before him. Although Lin Yi looked a little disheveled, and although Lin Yi had many wounds, he wasn't missing any limbs, and Ma Zhu couldn't accept it. His 8 levels of Golden Bell cover were completely destroyed in an instant. His years of practice, his childhood dreams, were all shattered in that moment. The body of an external martial arts master is as important as the meridians of an internal martial arts master. Once the body is severely injured, even if it recovers, it is impossible to reach its previous strength. Especially for someone like Ma Zhu, whose entire body was blown to pieces or even destroyed, his Golden Bell cover was completely broken. Even if you recovered, the new flesh and skin would be different from before, and would be no different from that of an ordinary person. Even if there was still a bit of the Golden Bell cover remaining on his left side, what good would it do? How could he prevent the enemy from attacking his right side in a fight? Lin Yi ignored Ma Zhu. He had to scare Ma Zhu and Zhen Yingjin off as quickly as possible. He was a family man who knew his own business. He was only able to stand now, relying solely on his last breath. He was like a powerful bow. The previous move was the result of Lin Yi draining all the energy in his body, compressing it, and releasing it instantly. Lin Yi had already tested this energy bomb on Yukon, and it had been quite effective. However, the energy it could shatter Yukon's meridians was far less than what he would use today. This time, Lin Yi made a crazy and risky decision, a last resort when he had no other options. Ma Zhu was a practitioner of the Golden Bell cover. No matter what kind of attack Lin Yi launched, it would be ineffective against him. Even sneak attacks and assassinations were useless because he was completely unafraid of his attack. Just as Lin Yi was feeling anxious, helpless after being poisoned and about to die, Ma Zhu suddenly revealed his weakness. While Ma Zhu might not have thought this statement was wrong, it gave Lin Yi a huge inspiration. Ma Zhu declared that the Golden Bell cover was flawless, unless Lin Yi's level was higher. Ma Zhu believed that Lin Yi's strength couldn't possibly be higher than his. If he were, he would have already won. But Lin Yi disagreed. While his own strength wasn't as high as Ma Zhu's, the power generated by the compressed energy was exponentially greater. Ma Zhu was protected by the golden bell cover. Lin Yi couldn't just inject energy into Ma Zhu's body to damage his internal organs and meridians, as he had done with Yu Kun. He could only use a more powerful explosion to damage Ma Zhu's flesh. Lin Yi wasn't sure if this method would work, and even more unsure of the consequences. Even if he quickly stepped back to avoid the energy release, the residual force of the energy explosion could still harm him. In order to injure Ma Zhu, Lin Yi, forced to drain the last ounce of his energy, determined to die if he failed, unleashed the most terrifying energy bomb ever. And he succeeded. Ma Zhu was crippled, his golden bell shield shattered by his own energy. Even so, the defensive power of Ma Zhu's golden bell shield still left Lin Yi speechless. Lin Yi was fully aware of the detonation's power. A deep crater had been blasted in front of both of them, its cross-section smooth and straight, as if cut by a sword. Even rock was damaged, but Ma Zhu was merely injured, not dead. Lin Yi didn't know if Ma Zhu was still capable of fighting, but he knew he was. If it weren't for his incredible willpower, he wouldn't have been able to hold on until now, much less stand up. But he had to stand up, he had to pretend he wasn't injured. He had to scare Ma Zhu and Zhen Yingjin away, otherwise, he, Chu Mengyao, and Shen Yushu would all be in danger. So, Lin Yi ignored Ma Zhu and turned to look at Zhen Yingjin again, saying coldly, "Now, it's your turn." Zhen Yingjin was completely terrified by the ferocious expression on Lin Yi's face. Ma Zhu had been seriously injured by the explosion, so how would Lin Yi deal with him now? He was the mastermind of this incident, and Ma Zhu was just a thug, but he had already been beaten so badly. How could Lin Yi let him go? Chapter 900, Is Juice okay? Don't come over here. Zhen Yingjin subconsciously stepped back. Suddenly, he caught a glimpse of Chu Mengyao and Shen Yushu not far away. Zhen Yingjin quickly pulled out a pistol from his waist, ran over and pointed it at Chu Mengyao. Don't come over here. Surrender now, or I'll kill her. Lin Yi was stunned. He didn't expect Zhen Yingjin's reaction to be so intense. He must have been frightened. Lin Yi couldn't help but smile bitterly. Did he make things worse? He originally wanted to scare Zhen Yingjin and ask him to take Ma Zhu and get out quickly so that he could find a place to heal his wounds, but he didn't expect that he would be so scared that he would take out a gun to threaten Chu Mengyao. Bang! A muffled sound was heard, accompanied by a heart-wrenching scream. This was not the sound of a gunshot, but the sound of a body collision. The next moment, Zhen Yingjin's gun fell to the ground. He covered his crotch with his hands, his eyes bulging, and gasped for breath, wailing repeatedly. Yet, Chen Yushu stretched out his hands to make a V shape, then clapped his hands and said, "I'm so awesome. I kicked Zhen Yingjin into a real eunuch." Chen Yushu's kick was really powerful, and Zhen Yingjin was in trouble. He never thought that such a weak little girl would dare to attack him. Wasn't she afraid of shooting herself? However, he was too painful to ask this question. Chu Mengyao couldn't help but smile, but still felt that Chen Yushu was a bit reckless. "Xiao Shu, aren't you afraid that he will shoot me to death? You are so brave. If I die, how can you be his concubine? Oh, Sister Yao, have you finally decided to marry me?" Chen Yushu said happily. "He can't kill you, his gun is not on safety. I observed it before I shot, kicked it." "How did you know?" Chu Mengyao was a little surprised. She didn't expect that Xiao Shu was not reckless, but acted after careful observation. "My brother took me to the army to play with guns," Chen Yushu said, leaning over to pick up the pistol that Zhen Yingjin dropped on the ground, and said, "Look, Sister Yao, the safety is here, don't move, be careful of the pistol going off." Chu Mengyao said to Chen Yushu with some concern, "Throw it away quickly." Chu Mengyao had just finished speaking when Chen Yushu shot with a bang and pulled the trigger. "Oh!" Chen Yushu stuck out her tongue and threw the pistol to the ground. "It really went off accidentally, ouch!" Zhen Yingjin rolled his eyes, almost crying. Originally, he still had a lucky hope that Chen Yushu's kick hadn't caused him any serious internal injuries. He could see the Medicine King and maybe he could recover. However, Chen Yushu shot him in the crotch, directly destroying his luck. This gun, an accidental discharge, was quite accurate. Although Ma Zhu was in great pain, he couldn't just watch Chen Yushu kill Zhen Yingjin. This was the person his boss had asked him to protect, and he couldn't escape alone. Thinking of this, Ma Zhu gritted his teeth, flew over, picked up Zhen Yingjin, then looked at Lin Yi with some resentment, and quickly went down the mountain. Ma Zhu didn't know why Lin Yi didn't kill Zhen Yingjin. It should be similar to the reason why Zhen Yingjin didn't dare to kill Chu Mengyao and Chen Yusu at will. Thinking of this, he felt relieved. At least Lin Yi wouldn't catch up. How could he know that Lin Yi wanted to kill him but couldn't? Just as Ma Zu left, Lin Yi finally gave up and collapsed to the ground. Huh? Where's Brother Arrow? Chen Yushu was about to cheer for Lin Yi, but in the blink of an eye, Lin Yi had vanished. Lin Yi, Chu Mengyao, with her sharp eyes, saw Lin Yi collapse and instinctively ran over. Lin Yi, are you okay? Lin Yi's face was pale, his eyes half closed, but he wasn't unconscious. He spoke in a weak voice, help me get to a quiet place. I need to heal, okay? Chu Mengyao was overjoyed to see that Lin Yi wasn't dead and quickly reached out to help him up. But Lin Yi was too weak, completely devoid of any strength. Even with Chu Mengyao's support, he struggled to stand, but couldn't. Seeing Lin Yi's frail appearance, Chu Mengyao felt a pang of distress and wanted to hug him, but she hesitated. She wasn't his girlfriend, and hugging him wouldn't be a good idea. If word got out, how would she ever get married? Chu Mengyao takes chastity very seriously, which is why she reacted so strongly after the indirect kiss with Lin Yi. She thinks that a girl should be faithful to her boyfriend, and the only person who can have intimate behavior with her is her boyfriend, her future husband. But Lin Yi became like this just for her. He almost risked his life to defeat Ma Zu, so why should she care about these things? At worst, she can just not get married. If no one wants her, she can just marry Lin Yi. Besides, he had already seen her naked in the hospital, so why should she care about these things? Chu Mengyao was shocked when this idea came out. Is this what she thinks? Chu Mengyao was still a little confused about her future. Glancing at Chen Yushu, she gritted her teeth and reached out to pick up Lin Yi. However, she realized he was incredibly heavy. If she carried him alone, she was afraid she'd drop him. She could only say, Zia Oshu, come help. What are you doing standing there? Oh, I thought Sister Yao was going to keep Brother Arrow all to herself. Chen Yushu hurried over to help. Chu Mengyao was speechless. She and Chen Yushu carried Lin Yi back to the cave they'd been in, carefully placing him on the ground. Then she asked, okay, what should I do now? Use a knife to open the gunshot wound in my leg, remove the bullet, drain the poisonous blood, and clean it. Before Lin Yi could enter the jade pendant's space, he had to remove the poisoned bullet. Although Lin Yi judged the bullet wasn't particularly potent, otherwise he'd have died long ago, he couldn't afford to be careless. Who knew if he'd be in trouble if he waited too long? Zia Oshu, go get some mineral water, Chu Mengyao said hastily. Ah. But Sister Yao, the mineral water was poured out before. Look, there are still traces of water over there, Chen Yushu said with a bitter face, pointing to her previous masterpiece. How about juice? Chu Mengyao was a little speechless, but she looked at Lin Yi inquiringly. Oh, of course not. Lin Yi smiled and was also amused by Chen Yushu. This little girl is a little happy fruit, always able to make people laugh in the midst of adversity. When I went up the mountain, I saw a stream in the mountains. The stream water was very clear. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.